Hello and welcome to another episode of Bridging the Gap. I'm your host, Kelly, and I want to introduce the panel. I want to thank everyone who joined us today on the panel and everyone who is watching in the chat and audience. We have Fee Robinson. We have Raul Duke, we have Kyle, Trigger Mike, and Cheeky Banter. And then I just like to give everybody an opportunity to introduce yourselves. You can go over whatever you like to share, whatever you're comfortable with sharing. So Fee, feel free to go first. Ladies first.
Hello, I'm Fee Robinson. I am from Bangladesh. I speak two languages, Bengali and English. And I came to Canada 21 years ago, and I never really went back, but I'm pretty rooted in my culture. I'm an engineer, and I have a business with High Skin. So thank you for watching, guys.
Raul Duke, please take the floor.
My name is Raul Duke. I am a famous author, wood carver, and aspiring bobsled team captain. I speak multiple languages, the most exotic being Swahili, and I'm just happy to be here.
Wow, that's a pretty amazing pedigree. Kyle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, all. My name is Kyle. I'm a regular on the Lapeef Sunday show. I also speak about 40 or 50 different languages. You know what I mean? Graduated from Harvard easily. No, I'm a father of two. Me and my wife have been married now for about 9 years. We've been together for 16 years. So, it's definitely family man. I would describe myself as, community man. So happy to be here to discuss the topic.
Thank you. Feel free to go, Trigger Mike.
All right, what's up, everybody? Trigger Mike here, husband, father, hospital administrator, firearms entrepreneur, and I do some YouTube stuff every now and then.
Wait, hospital administrator?
Well, healthcare administrator. I have a master's in health administration.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's why you're like, you have like that authoritative tone. You're like the boss.
Always, indeed. I'm a nurse too. People don't know that, but
I didn't know that either.
Undergrad.
You're a nurse who shoots guns?
Yes, I can fix you after I shoot you. Yeah. I can fix you after I shoot you.
What does the firearms entrepreneur lifestyle look like? Is it just like buying and selling of firearms, or is it?
So I'm a licensed federal firearms dealer. So
wow.
I have a federal. Yeah, I'm an FFL. So I can everything that they say is illegal gets shipped to my house directly. So yeah, I get guns, everything shipped straight to my doorstep, and I sell them on my website.
And you teach, right? You teach people.
And I do have a firearms training business. That's why I didn't want to say owner, instructor, all that stuff. Yeah, it's all encompassing.
Man, what state you working out of doing that?
What? So I'm in the least communist state to do that. I'll give you one guess. When you think guns, what state?
Florida.
Texas.
Texas. Yeah, I'm in Texas.
Close.
Cheeky Banter, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Cheeky Banter. I do YouTube like you guys, and I'm here because I kissed one white girl, and black women won't let it go. They just hold it against me, but whatever.
I kissed just one. Okay, well, I'm going to start off with the icebreaker. Thank you for introducing yourselves and for being here this evening. It probably won't be a long show, but you never know how it goes. Sometimes I say that and we go for 3 hours. Okay. So I like to start off with the icebreaker. My question is, now, if you date the same sex, then you can answer however you choose. But the question is, if you were to enter a room with 100 people of the opposite sex, and they were all equally divided into different races, right? What race do you automatically gravitate to first and why? So equal amount of like Asians, white, Hispanic, black, like what race do you automatically like seek out first? Icebreaker. Anybody can go. And if you're not comfortable answering, you don't have to. This is a fun question.
Yeah, this
Fee
is
had an important thing to say. Fee wanted to say something really important.
You're on mute, Fee.
For me, it would be automatically someone who's like melanated. Like anybody could be from anywhere, but like darker, preferably like my skin tone or darker. Because I personally like my parents, because from like I'm from Bangladesh and there was a lot of colonization with like England, a lot of white people there, and there was murder and all that stuff. So they don't really allow me to be with white men, or they would be kind of like turn on, a negative tone to it. So yeah, so anybody who is brown or black.
This is a weird. So this is kind of like the new school lunchroom theory going on. You know what I mean? So you at a new school, you don't know anybody, and science says you're going to gravitate to the people that look like you. So I'll say that I think my charm and my individual, like the way I talk to people, has always been geared toward, I know what to say to be invited to sit at that table. If it was, like let's say black people there, but I don't know if I'm being genuine to myself to say that's where I would go. I think I would actually go to, yeah, like Fee says, more melanated people, but the people who are least judgmental, right? Because you got a lot of people that be like, you can't sit here, So I try to read the room
Like
full of
Forrest
melanated.
Gump. You can't sit here.
You can't sit here. Because that could be melanated people too. I ain't gonna lie.
So you're gonna find your Jenny on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
So are they all like 10s? Like that's kind of like, if they're all 10s, it makes it the question harder, all right? Because then at that point I've got to make like a intrinsic decision, like, okay, what do they think about certain things? Like, but to me, like, it really doesn't matter, right? If they all look good, then I want them all. But if they all look good and they sound dumb, then I don't want so many. I don't want too many of them. So, that's kind of my viewpoint on it. I don't really care what the color looks like. But I can understand the whole melanated thing. Like, I think in an idealistic world, assuming that I have 100 women that's just there and pretty and want me, that's already idealistic. So we're going to take away colonization too. All right. So that means I don't care. Like, there we go.
Okay. Kyle, do you want to answer? If you're
Yeah.
married and you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
No. So can you repeat just what the icebreaker question was, just to make sure I'm clear on everyone's, what everyone else said?
If you enter a room with 100 people of the opposite sex and they're all different races, like evenly divided, who do you gravitate towards to first and why?
Then yeah, I think I would echo what everyone else has already said. Probably, black and brown people, more than likely black people, if I'm keeping it all the way real. I feel like regardless of, in any situation, I'm going to more than likely go towards the people that look like me, or go towards a section of an area where their interests might align with mine. So I most certainly wouldn't go to, the white people. I feel like that just probably would not be something I would do. You know what I mean? I would have a lot of love. Hopefully, once the event starts going and we get to intermingling, then we can start to meet each other. But I would start off without knowing anybody at all. I'll more than likely go over to the black people or Latino people, or however we want to say it.
Okay.
Just because I would assume that we already have things in common, or we already have a shared experience. So, I would just automatically assume that we can relate to each other without even having spoken a word.
Okay. Raul Duke, do you have anything to add?
I'm going to gravitate to the blonde girls. So it's going to be white chicks with blonde hair. I'm not it can't only be blondes. I've dated plenty of girls with different color hair, but they have a unique advantage. I actually used to be a little blonde. I used to be a dirty blonde. And I find that to be the most attractive trait. I am very much attracted towards women with blonde hair. So it's the white girls with blonde hair.
White girls with blonde hair. Okay. Amira, did you want to answer the question?
Pardon me. I would go to the person that's least like myself, because in my culture, they are. You said it's all men, right? It's all the opposite sex, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In my culture, it's so hard to be around the men of my same culture, because they are like, yeah, no. I probably wouldn't be in a room like that because I'm married, but yeah, I wouldn't go around other Arab men, because they can be like, they could know my father, they could know someone, they could start talking about me and starting rumors. So
I see. That makes sense. Well, I'll answer. Did everyone get a chance to go? I'll answer.
Yeah, you're the only one who hadn't gone yet.
Okay, I'll answer. The way I operate, I automatically, when I go into a room, like say I'm going to a party or a ball or a gala or something, and there's a bunch of people I don't know, my eye will automatically catch black guys first. Like I'll just see. Now I'm kind of like cheeky, like if the black guys aren't really that attractive, I'm like, okay, so now we'll start looking at the other races. But I don't even see the other races first. And I wondered, I thought to myself, why do I do this? And I think because I have a black father and he was such a great man, I automatically deem great man as being black. So I look at that first. But I don't rule out other races. I just see black first. So if that helps, that makes sense.
I think a lot of people feel that way, though. I think when you enter a room, it's like that's your natural reaction is going to be to see the people who kind of look like you, until they start acting out and start talking. I think what Amira said is, maybe men of her culture act a certain way, but I would imagine that you would still notice them first. Your eyes would still go to them first. Your experience with them might be a certain way, but you might still feel naturally inclined to want to be over with this group of men. Like if you could guarantee that they're going to act a certain way, you more than likely will go over to that group of men.
Right. But if they're not acting, go ahead, Amir.
I have something, because Raul said something last week that was kind of contradictory to what he's saying today, because last week he told me to go F myself because color didn't matter, and I don't care what color you are for the, for procreating and children and all of that. But this week he says, if there was a group of women, I would go directly to blonde women, which I'm assuming means white, because most people that are blonde are white.
So you want to talk to a black girl with blonde hair, Raul Duke?
I mean, how hot is she?
Like a 9, and then her blonde wig makes her.
Absolutely. And I apologize, Amira. I was just teasing. I didn't tell you to go fuck yourself. I was using that in the royal we to all the assholes that were at the opposite end of my discussion. I definitely did not mean to say that to you specifically, Amira. So once again, I apologize for that right now if that's how you took it.
No, don't. I'm okay.
He actually did after the show. He was like, make sure she knows I wasn't like serious.
No, that was just me ranting.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I believe we're all the same. As far as intrinsically, are we all worth the same? You said that it was important for white people to have more babies in America. And I asked you if it was intrinsically better for the white people to have them versus, say, the Hispanic. And then you dialed it back and you said, no, just everybody in America needs to have one. And that works out fine. So that's what we were talking about as far as that goes. What Kelly was asking was, if you just walk into a room with 100 hot women, where do your eyes automatically go? And Kelly was very honest. Her eyes automatically go to the black guys first. I wasn't offended by that. My eyes, I like, blonde white girls sexually first. It doesn't mean that they're better people than the rest of you or more worthy humans. It just means my sexual preference happens to tend that way. Now, I've dated many more women that have brunette hair than blondes. There's not that many blondes out there compared to brunettes or dark-haired women. So there's a difference between your intrinsic first shot sexual attraction and overall value as a human being. What I was talking with you last time, Amira, was the overall value of a human being, which is everybody's the same. But where do my eyes go first as far as being attracted? If I see blonde hair, I look that way. That's two different things.
Is it true that blondes really have more fun?
Sophie, what's her name? Sophie Vergara? What's her name?
Sophia Vergara.
Vargas.
Yeah, she. Somebody asked her that question because she's been blonde and brunette, and she answered honestly. You know what her answer was?
Yes.
The girl with the biggest boobs.
Oh, so it's not the hairs. Got it. Okay.
I didn't say that. Sophia did.
I mean, now I know.
I would have said that.
Thank you, Mike. Thank
Oh
you.
my goodness. I don't even know where this conversation is going.
No, Kelly said you
Wait,
look for the black man. That's your preference. Raul said he looks for the blondes. That's his
So
preference.
Kelly,
I have
Kelly,
a particular preference.
Kelly, I have a question. Is it okay
can't
to
help
ask? I don't want to derail the show.
You can ask.
But
her.
I just noticed something. Even with this ideal situation, everybody still brought whatever racial or whatever issues that we face today, like excluding that ideal context, we still brought it into how we view the other people, right? Which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So a part of me wants to know, like, how much of our preferences are based off of maybe some of the racial issues that we know about versus what we actually like to see, like visually. Like, because the reason why I said in an ideal world, I wouldn't be thinking about colonialism or any of those things, because if it's 100 women and they all look good and they all like me, then obviously this world is perfect. So I just thought it was interesting. Everybody kind of, well, not everybody, but it was F. Robinson, Kyle, and I think that was it. Roll didn't really answer. He just said blondies. But what do I expect from a straight white man? You know.
I mean, but you know, if you think about it, like if every woman had the same body, they were the same height, you know what I mean? Their hair length was the same, and they all were whatever your standard of 1 to 10 is. They all were 10s based on your standard. The only difference is their ethnicity and hair texture. You know what I mean? What group are you gonna go to? Like, what group do you feel like you would go towards first? I'm just saying, I feel like it'd be the group that looks most like you. You know what I mean? Like when you see yourself and then you look out into the world, I feel like that's what you would go after. So it wouldn't necessarily be race related necessarily.
That's the lunchroom theory. So you're right. You're onto something, Cheeky, because it's not really, you won't be thinking about anything from the outside world or colonialism outside of your deep-seated disdain for any other cultural group. It's actually a cultural familiarity you're looking for. Right. So you got to understand how hard it is to even date outside your race. When people even do that, they're kind of deactivating something in themselves. Like when it comes to like men leaving out to date primarily the women other than the ones in their ethnic group, there's usually a trauma story there. Men don't talk about it, but it's something that happened.
Men do.
I was gonna say something happened there, but I know that's the topic of what we're getting into tonight.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it more.
The first question, you kind of segued perfectly into it, is I just kind of wanted to get everyone's initial thoughts on the term interracial dating. Like, what does it mean to you when you hear that? I did send the questions in advance, so you guys have had time to think about this, right?
To be honest, I was.
You know what?
So
you know what?
I wasn't able to.
I was going to throw a curveball. I was going to throw a curveball.
I didn't see him. I'm sorry. Like I saw him, but I ain't really read him. So
you didn't read them. You know,
well, that's because a lot. Like
why be prepared?
Kelly. Hold on, Kelly. Hold on. It was a lot going on. It's not because I was just like, I'm not going to read them because she sent them. It was more like oh man, something just came up. Oh no, you know.
He was going to get back to it later, but
right.
You know, that 8 o'clock snuck up on us.
Trigger Mike, you said you were going to throw a curveball.
Yeah, so we know what interracial dating means. But the reason I appreciated the topic is that you know, we can make the argument that we're all one human race, and we really should be using that word anyway. But I think intercultural dating is the same as interracial dating in the way we understand it, because people will tell me all the time, like, "Oh, you're married to a black woman," but it's debatable as to whether I'm black. I'm Nigerian. She's Black American, and that's a mix of different cultures. So, you know, it can work several different ways to where you're having to, you know, mix culture, understand someone else's culture, agree to it, all of that, right? Our hair texture is the same. That's really it. But we're just doing what it's black people, and then everybody else in the world hair texture is the same. So they go through the same thing, right? So I
Well, you know,
think
Trigger, but you know, society treats you a little differently, though, right? When they see you
of course,
and your
of
wife
course.
together, so just I think the perception of a couple is just as impactful as the details and nuance that you're talking about.
Yeah. Naturally, that we have that one part taken care of, right? Nobody's gonna come after me and be like, "You hate your own people" or nothing. But there's the aesthetic part, and then there's what actually goes on in the home. That's why I said intercultural dating, on that in that sense, should have its own you know, day in court to be discussed.
Well, you try to separate something. I don't really know if you can, right? And you'll find that people can be of the same culture, but due to their differences in melanation, it could cause a divide, right? Like there's issues in Japan where if you're a black or mixed Japanese person they won't believe that even though you've been born there, even you just don't look like them because they're homogenous in the way that they are viewed anatomically. Like I see this way. So trying to separate intercultural issues and interracial issues is almost impossible because for whatever reason, darker melanated skin has never been appreciated. Same thing with Thailand. Like Thai people or Philippine people are called the black people of Asia because they're dark, and then you know they get the same rejection. So and the same thing for the Middle East, the same thing for Japan. You know, for whatever reason, the lighter of skin has always been appreciated. So even though it may not be quote unquote racial, there's still a component of a phenotype that plays a major part in perception and whether or not you want to deal with it. So it's still, even though it's still intercultural, because it's the same culture. Honestly, nothing's changed.
Yeah,
it is not the same for whatever reason. I can't explain it. I've tried to look this stuff up. There's no real explanation. We just don't like dark people. Simple. Whoa, may like that.
Well, back in the day, the people that had to work out in the fields would get suntan and darker. And the people that were all rich and they got to stay inside, they were lighter skinned. And so that happened for a long time before the Industrial Revolution, guys. It was a long time before that hit. That was only like 150 years ago that shit hit. And so anybody who had money didn't get hit by the sun as much. And a lot of where that light skin is better comes from that. Because the ones who were poor were outside working, and the ones who were rich didn't go outside. Nowadays, white people go out on purpose to get tan. You know, things are changing. But way back in the 1800s, you wanted to be pale as shit. And that's across multiple societies because white people aren't the only people to get tan in the sun. You know what I mean? And so if you're working outside, you're the poor person. If you're not working outside, you're the rich person. Some of it comes from that.
Well, I think what he's saying is kind of true, but then also you think about the people who were in charge, like the dominant society. Usually the dominant society were the French, the British, white. And so they were the ones in power. So the people who are colonized or who were dominated over saw them as the symbol of power and what have you. But another thing that is aside from that is that I think women get affected with this color treatment more than men do, because for women it's better to be lighter and you're seen as more beautiful, while as for men, the darker, like that term, tall, dark, and handsome, women like a man with dark features, whether that be tan skin, darker hair, darker eyes, and so on. So I think women get hit with this more because white skin is seen as more angelic, as more clean, as more pure, as so many things that is not true, but it's just the natural way that our brains work, right? You see white, you think something else, and you see darkness, you think something else.
I don't know. When I think beauty, I look at features because I think there's some very beautiful chocolate people. And my brother even said, he's like, how often do you see like a gorgeous chocolate woman that's single? He said they get scooped up really quick. He said if she's got beautiful features and she's chocolate, she's got a boyfriend or a husband. So you see a lot of single light skinned girls.
That's weird that you say that. I've tried to tell people that for I've tried to tell people that for the longest. I said, man, I don't know. This is so anecdotal, and they don't make stats like this. But just as you said, an elegant, dark-skinned girl, they're always married. And like they're always married.
My brother pointed it out to me. He said, I look for that chocolate, beautiful woman. She's always
gone. Like I made that point to someone recently.
I don't date women, so I don't know, but he pointed it out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, well, pay attention.
Well, I've dated interracially. I've dated white men. I've dated however, I realized that like our cultures will clash. Like I love spicy food. Like I'm brown, like we eat spicy pepper, like all of that. And
they want chicken nuggets and turkey sandwiches.
Hot everything.
And they sitting there turning red, and you sitting like, "What's wrong with you?"
A lot of things would clash, and that's why like we didn't really mend well. So yeah, it didn't really work out. So I stuck to what I know.
Okay. Does anybody else have initial thoughts on the term interracial dating before we move to the next question?
I think it shouldn't happen.
You said you think it should not happen?
Yeah, no.
Oh, feel free to expound.
That's in the questions.
Well, the reason being is because it creates so many issues. I mean, the children that come out of interracial marriages are beautiful, yes, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the race, but it's just the cultural aspect of it. It gets so confucius, because the children grow up with a sense of not belonging to either, because yes, they can relate to both, but they don't feel completely as that they belong in both. Does that make sense? Like what I've seen with like Asians and Latinos, same thing. Like I've seen a half Asian, half Latino girl, and she could not, she knew that she could relate and she could speak the languages both, but she didn't feel fully as one of them at all. You know what I mean? So it's like belonging, but not belonging at the same time. And the other aspect about that is that it also waters down your traditions, your culture. It waters it down to the point where none of it matters. Maybe that is the point. Maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. But for those who want to keep those ancient traditions going, all of that stuff gets erased when you keep interracially mixing. So
I disagree wholeheartedly. You can enforce a culture or a tradition on somebody, and it's the same reason why most African American people are Christians. That's not a culture. That's not a religion that any African person would have practiced, maybe aside from Ethiopians, but yet we found a way to be homogenous in that, or majority of us who are Black have grown up in Pentecostal or Baptist, some form of Christianity. So it has nothing to do with color, nor does it have anything to do with a losing of traditions, more than it does, is your tradition strong enough within the household? Is there an agreement, right? Like you can be mixed, right? And again, maybe mixed people do have this issue, so I'm not going to demean it or minimalize it, but saying that the mixing of race is the reason doesn't make sense, because there's always been a multitude of appearance of humanity, and for some reason, even, for example, Muslims, right? There are Muslims that look very different from you, Amir, that are very dark. As a matter of fact, they're African. They're just black as hell. But because, see, there we go.
Well, Muslim is not a race. Muslim is not a race.
Right. Well, I'm getting to the point.
The Islamic, right? So, yeah.
Right. So it's not. So when, again, this idea of race, I didn't create that. I don't think you did either, but it was some form of separation to go, you look different from me, and not necessarily you agree ideologically with me. Am I making sense?
Somewhat, but you're using the example of religion versus traditions. Culture, it doesn't have to always. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm talking about is Kenyans have their own traditions that they do, right? Their own language, their own actual culture, the way that they dress and so on, versus anyone else of a different culture. I'm not even going to say another country because I don't have really the. So everybody has their own things, yeah? And when a child is born into an environment where there's a split between the two, the child will be familiar with both, which is a great thing. It expands their horizons, mentally, where they can relate to more people. However, the issue that I've seen is that many mixed race children have a sense of not belonging. Especially take the most extreme example, a child that's white and black. You see that that child most likely will not identify with the white family as much as they'll identify with the black family. And that's the reason of how they may look. Maybe they came out with a darker hue and the white family is, I've seen where some of them don't accept them as much, or it's just, they won't accept them as white. So that's what I'm saying.
But again, I think that's pointing out.
You're actually answering the question. That's my third question, so we can skip to that. How do you feel interracial marriages affect children? And I definitely want to get Kyle in on this one.
Is Chiki gonna respond?
Yeah, go ahead, Chiki. Go ahead and finish your thought, Chiki.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just make this in as a final point. Again, I think you're pointing out things that are ideological, maybe something that's existed, right? You're pointing out black and white, especially if they're in America. There's still racial tension, regardless of what most conservatives or most people would think about that. Yes, things have improved. Yes, these things are not the same as they were years ago. But to minimalize or even not identify that there's still some level of racial tension is to be somewhat, I guess, a little naive from my perspective, because I'm black, right? So I can't put that on you to see it the same way. I think the issue comes when you have a mixed race child is that they understand and they can feel the racial tension, maybe not within the home, but within society itself. Because you still have to realize ideologies like the left would still tell you, hey, you're still oppressed, right? And so a part of what they're telling you is true to some degree, because historically, you can't deny history, right? So you can be like, oh, I can see this and I relate with this person because we're melanated and I feel that. But then I also think my dad is good, although he may be white. So there's that dichotomy between who white people to be from your experience as a family member versus what history has told you, and that can cause a split. I mean, it's more complicated than just the race. I think it's an ideological and theoretical issue that brings a lot of the confusion, if that makes sense.
Well, I wasn't speaking about history. I was speaking about the present, because history is not the present, and people still living in the historic times. It's just dragging you. It's just dragging yourself down mentally for no reason. What I'm talking about is, like, right now, the family is not accepting. Like a person who is half white, half black, maybe they look more towards the black side, so they can't go in a place and say, I'm white, and be accepted, because they're going to laugh at you and say you're white. You clearly you're not. So that's what I'm saying, is that halfness, that half thing, even though you may feel connected to a certain group because you are half of that group, you won't be accepted. And I think this is the issue. And that's just an extreme example. Now, there's plenty of other mixed race people who are not white and black. There could be Asian, Latino, Arab, and Spanish. So the same thing happens in all mixes, is what I'm saying, where they can't find their proper.
Okay. So I get what you're saying.
And it's like, why cause a child this kind of dilemma if you can prevent it? I'm not saying that you have to go with the person of your race, but it makes it easier to bring up a child with a sense of, this is my tribe, this is where I come from, this is my history, my past, my language, my dress, my style of dress. They have that, and it's important for children to have that. For some strange reason, I mean, as you get older, you kind of think like, I don't really need it, but for children, that foundation is important. And this kind of like where they find themselves. So go ahead.
So do you think children have the same issue if they have somebody of the same cultural background, right? Like if I, let's just say, let's say Christian, for example. If I'm Pentecostal, very specific because there's so many denominations. If I'm Pentecostal and I marry somebody of a different race who's also Pentecostal, and we teach our children Pentecostal values and culture and whatever else that comes with that, and then they marry somebody that's Pentecostal as well, where do you think the issue will become with identity? If we're creating the identity for them in that way.
Well, in that case, they have a common foundation, being their Pentecostal foundation, but at the same time, people will naturally divide themselves with anything. So that would be another way to divide themselves. Even though they have that foundation of being Pentecostal, they're still going to divide themselves through color.
So it does. I don't even. So that doesn't sound like a race thing, but it sounds like a human issue, right?
It
Because
is.
if-
Well,
It
let me
is.
well let me
And it's
let me jump in.
exacerbated. It's exacerbated with the whole race interracial thing. Is what I'm saying. It is a human issue. You're right, but it's exacerbated through that. I'm sorry, Kyle.
No, it's interesting. So I have a question. When let's have a scenario where you Amira move into a predominantly, you have a child, you and the man of your same ethnic and cultural background, you move into a all white suburb, let's say. So your child is the only one of your ethnic background in a school. Do you think that your child will have problems feeling like he belongs? Just his general existence day to day. Do you think that your child's going to struggle, given his environment, with a sense of belonging?
Possibly, but I was speaking more about the home, your foundation. That's what I
Right.
was really
So
talking about.
I believe
I mean, because
that.
outside, Kyle, one moment. Outside, we're always going to be in positions where we're going to be the odd one out. I mean, that's going to happen no matter what. So what you're saying is your child ever going to feel like the odd one out ever in life? Of course. But when you talk about the foundations, like your home life, you shouldn't have to feel that way. Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, I don't think that the foundations of your life are necessarily skin color related. I believe Trigger just said that he himself is Nigerian and he married a American black woman. So he's going to have different cultures than his wife that they both are going to have to instill into their child. So the idea that maybe one day the child will feel conflicted about, am I of a Nigerian background or am I an American? And I think that might be a valid discussion. But the idea that that's like a form of suffering, I don't necessarily agree with that. You know what I mean? I think that there's definitely going to be some strong values that have to come from the parents. But I would say that the world is becoming less and less traditional when it comes to your family lineage or keeping certain traditions alive. It's definitely still out there. But the traditions that you're practicing are more rooted in American culture. It's not necessarily rooted in a culture backed with ethnicity, unless you may be Latino and then your grandparents are from Mexico, so they're bringing that. But most Black people, our culture is American culture. So when we're instilling certain values, we're going to instill the values that we learned as being Black Americans within this country. And so when we go to marry, someone who may not be Black, but they still have the same kinds of values that we have, the only difference is skin color. So when it comes to the child, you're going to raise that child up to have similar values in terms of treating other people a certain way. And so within the home, you're raising them with a certain kind of identity of just love. It's not rooted in the way they look skin color wise. It's really them just embracing all the ethnic background and all the identities that they have. So I think that it's a little overstated that kids suffer. I think that the suffering comes from the environment. If there's no other kids around that look like you, that's where the suffering comes, because then you feel like the odd one out. But if you really notice the way the world is, I can speak from example, there's way more, if you go to a school, there's way more biracial kids of all different backgrounds than there are Black kids. You'll have, upwards of 10%, of a biracial population within an elementary school, where the all black population is still at 2 to 3%. So a biracial kid has a lot of other kids around who they're going to be able to identify with and relate with day to day as they grow up. So the idea that they're going to feel some kind of confusion about who they are, I think that that's really not going to be the case as time goes on. I would have definitely agreed with that as we came up, us older millennials and whatnot, people maybe grew up in the 90s, where there was a still distinct, line drawn of white culture and black culture. But given the way that the media has played out, given the way that black culture is now, pretty much the culture that breeds everything else to where it's for everyone, that has had its impact on the way we raise children. So it's much more American culture related than I think it is African American culture or Polish people or whatever it is. I think that everything has blended so much where kids now don't suffer nearly as much as I think we might assume.
So I just want to say, CT, you're giving Kevin Samuels vibes right now. You got a new background.
Go ahead,
Like,
guys. Go ahead.
but just
Thank you so
go ahead.
much, my good sir.
For joining Chaotic.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
guys.
what's going on?
How you doing, guys? Before I give my spiel on this, do you guys mind if I sing a song real quick?
No.
Is it
What?
Jungle Fever?
No. I would actually like if you guys would actually, guess the songwriter. Don't wake me, I'm dreaming. If I'm dreaming, then just let me sleep. Don't wake me up till my dream is complete. 'Cause I'm dreaming. Just leave me alone. Turn off the lights and unplug the phone.
I think we need a super chat for Chaotic song.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
So I think we need a
Chaotic.
super chat for Chaotic song.
Yeah.
You're an extremely talented dude, but don't ever do that.
So, Amira, do you know who the artist of that song is?
I don't.
Yeah, Christopher Williams. I'm dreaming. It was,
Okay.
yeah, 33 years ago, way before you were born.
She's not feeling that. She's not feeling
Guys,
that.
I'm married to a beautiful black woman, and I say this with all due respect. I love black females, but my God, I got to tell you a couple of stories.
Have you dated outside of your race before?
I've dated, and believe it or not, only twice. Only twice.
Why me and F. Robinson make the same face?
Only twice. Well, no. Well, do you guys technically count Puerto Ricans as dating outside your race?
Yes, I
Yes.
would.
Okay, so about 4 times then. And what in high school? Do you really count? Okay. In high
Yes.
school, I
High
did with
school counts
a
too.
couple of Puerto Rican girls in high school, but in my adult life, I have been with 2 white girls, 2 white women, of course, and I have to say this, and I've said it before. It was like being in heaven. Every single day I was. I know Chicky's goosing and giggling and laughing, but it's the truth.
But why? Why would you say it's like being in
It
heaven?
was absolutely pleasant being with, and I don't want to say
Raul Duke.
it was absolutely pleasant being with. I really want to say her name so bad, but I'm pretty sure you guys can guess because it's only about 4 names that white women have.
We don't call her Rachel.
Becky.
Nicole.
Yeah.
Susan.
And I'll tell you a story, Kelly, and salute to you for hosting your show. The one girl, I met her, she was a colleague of mine, and she came to my house, and we had been talking on the phone, Zooming, and she came over, and I'll never forget it. She said, "Where's your library at?" And I said, "My library." Now, mind you, I had about 2 or 3 books in the house. I didn't really keep a big, black people ain't really got no libraries in the house. And she says, "Well, I think a man is, because she already knew I was an intellectual, but she probably thought I had a lot of books." She said, "Where's your library at? Having a library in the house is so romantic, just reading books by the fireplace." And I said, "Oh my God, I love this bitch." And so she came upstairs, and the bathroom was not, it may have been like some underwear on, the floor. I mean, I'm not a nasty person, but it it wasn't the cleanest. You know, I was a bachelor at the time.
Wait, your underwear weren't clean or the room wasn't clean?
It was like some underwear on the floor. It was like one pair. It wasn't like dirty or anything. It was just
Okay.
I had probably just got the shower. I don't know.
Okay.
And I said, babe, I'm about to freshen up. She said, why are you gonna freshen up? I said, well, I don't want to. She said, no, you're a man. You're supposed to be like that. I said, oh my God. See, now a black bitch, no offense.
It's offensive.
How you gonna say that and no offense?
We don't do that.
Well, he did call both. He did call both of the.
Now,
he
wait
did
a
pick the
minute.
word
Now,
for it.
okay, I'll say a black woman. Black woman.
Thank
I
you.
dealt with black females.
Thank you.
They, I gotta say it, man. Black females.
Hey,
would
Yadik,
nitpick
what are
a black-
you doing?
Chicky, hear me out for a minute. I'm telling you my experiences. Black females that I've dealt with will nitpick about every damn thing, but not this beautiful white queen. Oh, absolutely not. She said, "You're a man. You're supposed to be dirty. You're supposed to be this. You're supposed to be a man. You're supposed to be this." And we made passionate love, and I'll never forget it, man. And the only reason why I didn't pursue a long-lasting relationship is because I was 27 at the time, and I still wanted to live that bachelor lifestyle. And that was the last experience I ever had with a white girl. I was 27.
I have a question.
And prior to that, I was in college, and college is just fucking around, study sessions, end up in sex. But but what I can say is that there's no drama. And
I have a question for you.
yes, Kelly, go ahead.
It's a damn lie.
Do you regret marrying a black woman? Or do you wish you
Absolutely
would've married
not.
her?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I love my wife. My wife is
So if you could go back and do it over, would you marry a white woman?
no, I would marry my wife. No, I marry my wife, of course. I mean, that's the reason why I picked her. But what I tell younger men, especially when I was teaching, and a lot of my friends follow me in the chat, and they say, "Hey, he's not trolling. I'm for real." I always tell a lot of black dudes, man, divest, man. Get you some white, get you some Asian, get you some, equal opportunity coochie. You explore the world. Explore the planet. Yeah, for real. Seriously. Now, what I will say is this. There's nothing like a black woman, but a lot of times, and I hate to say this, and I've always noticed this, people probably treat other races of people better in relationships. I've seen black women, they speak proper English, they stop smoking weed, they stop acting like a fool when they with a white boy. Now,
would you like?
Man,
I've seen black
white
dudes.
white man, don't be disrespectful.
Give me a second. I've seen black dudes open up car doors and get the simping for white girls. I've seen it.
Raul Duke, would you like to chime in on what Chaotic is saying?
I've seen
No,
it.
let's let him finish digging his own grave.
So I don't know. So here goes the thing. I think that a lot of times we tend to treat our other people better than our own family. And sometimes don't nothing hate like family. And unfortunately, hear me out for a minute. Now, I've seen it. I've seen white dudes serenade a black chick. I've seen it. And all I'm saying is that maybe interracial dating is essential to human progression. What say you guys? Go ahead.
Well,
I mean, you landed pretty good. I fuck with that part.
yes. So that was actually my second question. But Raul Duke, because we're kind of jumping around, everybody's bringing up different topics, but these are actually some of the questions I had. You didn't get a chance to get them, Chaotic, because you weren't initially a part of it, but I sent out questions in advance. Raul Duke, can you respond to what he was saying about he's seen black women act differently when they're with white men? Would you say you noticed that?
I've never dated a black woman. Kelly, you rejected me and broke my heart.
Sorry.
And so it's just, I've dated multiple Latina girls and a couple of Asian girls. The biggest difference I noticed from white girls, without being dirty, would be that sometimes they would speak their home language amongst their family. The Latina girls especially would speak it with their mother and their father and their sisters and brothers, and I wouldn't catch on as much. The Korean lady only with her grandparents. Her parents didn't do that. Other than that, I mean, I did not notice a discernible difference. I have not seen. It doesn't mean that chaotic's not right. It's just in my experience, I have not seen black girls whitewash their language around white guys. I haven't seen that. I have seen white girls behave a little more black around black guys. So that would give a little bit more cadence to what he was talking about. They will behave a little bit differently.
Where'd you go, Cheeky?
Well, I have a lot of friends.
I went to the bathroom.
It's not a bad thing to say. I'm sorry.
Oh, yo, man.
True. It's true though. Keep going. Keep going. It's true.
Everybody
This
flags
topic
with
is
who they're hanging out with.
amazing.
That's kind of how it works. It's a normal human behavior. But as far as my relationships went, besides the language barriers here and there, no, they either hit it very well or I didn't notice it.
Did you change your behavior at all when you're like, let's say you're around, the Koreans and their family versus Latinas and their family, or do you find yourself behaving any differently, stepping any differently based on the culture alone and not necessarily specific to the families?
Not any different than I would for, say, different white girls. There's different structures. You know, you can tell whenever you go into a very Christian white girl's house versus a less Christian white girl's house and how you can behave. It's the same thing. The Korean household was very proper. I was on my best Boy Scout behavior. Her parents did not know who I was as a real person, that's for sure. The Latino parents, I mean, if I had hair, I could have let it down a little bit more amongst them, 100%. And they were all cool. It was just, they wanted to make sure I could dance properly was a lot of the biggest things that they were worried about. Since I'm white and supposedly we can't dance, so they helped me out with that. But yes, I did signal compared to the parents of the girl I was dating. But I had to say each and every one of you men has done that with every girl you've ever dated in your life. So I don't think that's a racial thing. Whenever you hang out with her parents, you're going to start paying attention a little bit differently. I did the same thing.
Okay. Does anybody else want to?
I just want to say something real quick. Is anybody familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and particularly with the planet Asgard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's how I was dating white women. It's pleasant, it's peaceful. White women are less violent physically. They don't send you through the ringer. They don't yell at you. They don't. I mean, mind you, I only been with two, but I'm telling you, man, like it was like being in a green pasture with butterflies, and it was, oh my God, it was like a romantic movie almost.
Anyway,
Hold on, wait. So, guys, let me ask you this.
Wait a minute. It's my experience, guys. Go ahead, Kyle. You cut me off while I was giving you my experience, but what's up?
Let me ask you this. So, do you think during that time, did you find that you could trust them too? Like, okay, in the midst of all of this, with your feelings, your emotions, you could go out, you trust that anything go down, they're going to have your back, or are they going to turn back into like a side pedestrian?
Of course, sir. Of course, my younger brother's married to a beautiful white woman right now. Of course, they do have your back. They have your back just as much as a black woman will. They to the best of their ability, they will fight for you. They will advocate for you. They will do anything possible for you. My dad is such and such. If her dad is the police chief, if her dad is a police lieutenant, if her dad's a lawyer, if she knows jujitsu, yes, she will fight for you, sir, just like a black female will. Yes, white women are just as strong sometimes, sir. And I think
you're forgetting there's different types of white women, because I've ran into white women with
why would you talk to white?
I doubt living with them.
So I wanted to say in respect to the conversation that a lot of what we think is racial is just, I guess, in American culture, it's who's suffering from certain certain factors in their lives, right? So, um, as far as white women and every other type of woman goes, so I've dated a few myself, and what I think Chaotic is trying to say is these women are still man pleasers. They have a mind for men, and that comes from a larger percentage of them having fathers in their home, right? So anything that they do, they are thinking about their man. That's probably one of the things that I can say, wow, as a in general in this country, as it relates to the factors that each individual group goes through, like, right, black people suffer from not having fathers in the home. That presents itself in relationships.
I agree.
It's not as prevalent in other racial groups. So it's not necessarily the woman themselves, because they are, a black woman or a white are inherently different. That's not true. It's the factors, that are present in society. And I've noticed that, like, it's not always a good thing either, because the white girls in high school were doing a particular type of activity other girls weren't doing.
They were.
You see, so and the black girls weren't doing that, no matter what, So it's like, oh, did a mirror bounce because of me? She always bounced during that type of talk. But you see what I'm saying? So it presents itself in different ways.
Succulent, elegant, nice. It was just.
Robertson, you hadn't said anything, and I was trying to speak.
I'm sorry, Chicky. What'd you say, Chicky? You keep cutting me off. What's up, Chicky? What you say, bro? All I'm saying is that if you're young in the chat, explore your options. Listen, don't get with no trailer park Becky. Why would you do that? You might as well get with a little project queen.
That's what I'm saying. You talk about the white people as if they're all so perfect, but there are different types of white people, just like there are different types of black people, just like there are different types of Asians, different types of Hispanics. There's levels to people groups. So
yeah,
I've met some white women that smell like wet dog, and they don't take showers or wash their hair, and they just hang around their cats. And I wouldn't describe the living.
And I've met black women who have 5 kids by 3 different baby fathers,
right.
and
I've met those women
they
too,
have dirty project houses.
I've met those women too, but I've also met black women who are virgins who upheld their moral standard. So it just depends on who you're the circles you run in. So
I also have met white women who have put black men on pedestals.
I've met black women who put men on pedestals. Ask my boyfriend. Fee, I did want you to get in on it, because I don't think you've chimed in on this.
No, I dated a white man before, and his family was super racist. I felt like a sore thumb sticking out, and I could not blend in whenever I wanted to. And they're going to be, most of these white families are racist. Their relatives are going to be racist. So do you want to really put yourself in that situation willingly? Really? I wouldn't.
I think, you know what? I'm not even caping for white people. I think it's racist to say most white people are racist.
No, because
it's crazy for Chaotic to say that black women.
Sorry, I have white girlfriends who are with black men, and guess what? The black men. It took years for the black men to come into the family. There was twice.
I'm gonna say it.
Like they disowned the girl.
Let me say it as a black person that lives in America. I 100% understand why any culture would think twice before letting a black man in their family.
Tell me.
I've gotten more now. Trigger Mike, I'm so glad that you said that. Trigger Mike, myself, I don't know about Kyle, but Raul looks like he's gotten around the block. Hey, look, man, I've gotten a lot of coochie in my life. I've gotten more pushback from black families from being short, ugly, all types of stuff. Where you from? You corny? You ain't. Oh, when I'm around white folks, and I mind you, only dated 2. But when I'm around white people, it's like heaven. And I gotta say it. They're always telling you about something. Hey guys, they're always pulling your coat about something. Hey, you want to know about something? My buddy does this. So I don't know anything about some racist whites. If they are, I ain't never met no racist whites. So I gotta agree with Trigger Mike, man.
As a one white guy on the show, can I
Yeah.
voice in here?
Yeah.
Fee's right. Now I don't live in the States anymore. I'm in where did I say I am? I think I'm in Newfoundland now. But in the States, she's not wrong. There are a lot of racist motherfucking white people. Okay, as a white man, I'll get into a field of new people, and they'll automatically think that I'm, part of the Klan, and they'll start saying some shit, and it's just not the right shit to say. And I remember I had a black friend, and he was married to a white woman, and he and I were working together. We were in college, and I was still, working in restaurants. And he told me about, he's married a white girl, and her family actually got him a gift, and it was one of those the black guys that are in the jockey uniforms, and it had like a noose around its neck. And they literally gave this shit to their daughter's fucking husband, right? And it really distressed him. And I said to him, well, my parents don't care if I date outside my race. I've brought different girls home. But my grandmothers, they would have given a shit. Now, you're not racist. Obviously, you married a white chick. She's not racist. She married you, a black dude. Your kid ain't going to be racist because it's going to be blending of the two. Those old people are going to die. And slowly we will breed these ignorant assholes out. But Fee's not wrong. They definitely exist. Chaotic, you must have been in a more liberal area, more...
No. So hold on. Because I'm the one that made the statement saying that I understand why people wouldn't want to let... so we got to break it all the way down when we talk about it. So me and Chaotic are both Nigerian. And I've like he said, I don't have bad experiences with white people. I understand what you're saying, Raul, but I'm not unaware of the individual biases of some white people, right? But this is what I believe that they are feeling when they are trying to judge certain black people. White people or anybody, right? Because Middle Eastern women and black, that's almost non-existent. You don't see a black man with an Indian woman at all. They cut that off, right? So what they want to know from a black person is, what are your family values? What are your future goals? And do you have self-respect? The reason why everybody feels like that's going to be compromised if your ethnic child gets with a black person is because out in the public sphere, in the mainstream, black people in America are willing to push ignorance first as the face of their society, right? So you worry about your own family values being passed on because that's going to be the father of your grandchildren, right? We push ignorance to the mainstream. The rappers are the most popular people, not the dads. The murderers are the most popular people. You get stripes if you have tears on your eyes in the black community. People are watching this. That's why they're really upset. Why would you do that? Why would you get with a black dude? They don't take themselves seriously. So you see what I'm saying? That all changes when you have a cultural background. Though my cousin is married to a white man, they can't wait to wear our clothes. Our family values are stronger than theirs. We make more money than they do. They do not disrespect us when we have these type of outcomes. It's when they believe that a black person is inadequate or subscribes to the traditional American hip hop type of lifestyle that would give anybody pause to say, I don't want a black person in my family.
Plus, you also have to think about the older generation. So I don't get upset if I meet a racist older white man or white woman, because in their time, we had separate water fountains. We were segregated. So that's like you growing up and your parents telling you as children, stay away from those people. Those are bad people. And then all of a sudden it changes. So it's kind of, the law changed, but their ideology didn't change. They still were segregated. They still had separate schools. So they're like, now it's okay for us to be around these people. So I don't get mad at those people because they grew up with that thought process. Now their children and their children's children, they learn something different. They grew up with something different. But I don't have issues with Caucasians, or a lot of my friends or people on the panels, they're of all different ethnic backgrounds. Raul Duke is one of my friends. I have no issues with other races, But I have dated a Caucasian man, and he told me, "You will never be able to meet my father." He said, because he doesn't condone me dating outside of my race. He specifically told me that in the very beginning. I hope you can meet everyone else in my family. But my father will never want to meet you because of my color.
And can we also agree that because someone doesn't want, like a parent doesn't want their child dating outside of the race, it may not be racist at all. It may be that they're trying to uphold their own cultural values, and that gets watered down if you date outside the race.
So again, this goes back to what we were saying before. Like it's a little frustrating because there are Nigerian men who, I mean, like, this is a known thing, that are in Africa. There are a lot of Asians in Africa as well, just due to what's going on over there, where the African men are saying that their spouse family has an issue with them and they're good men, right? Sometimes it goes beyond just culture, and it just goes with the aesthetics, right? Like we can't bypass it. I think what we try to do is simplify some of the issues that people have. Now, when it comes to Black America, it's a very unique situation, because you can't tell a people that's been stripped of their culture and identity, hey, the reason why no one likes you is because you don't have your culture and your identity. Well, yeah, no, history taught us that got stripped from us. So it's almost like a damn if you do, damn if you don't. But then you get this idea like, okay, well, maybe if you're African or you come from a concrete cultural background, that'll change the outcome. And that's not necessarily true either. It just seems as if Black people, in a very general sense, both men and women, are at the bottom of people's desirability for their daughter or son. Right?
Yeah.
Do you like white coochie? Let's cut to the point.
He does.
You like white
Well,
coochie?
he doesn't. He's not.
I like
really
women.
on it.
I'm a heterosexual man. Like I like.
I just want.
She count. F. Robinson, yes. Kelly, yes. Whoever not married, if they single, they'll do.
The problem I have with what you said, Cheeky, is that I think when it benefits Black people, you don't have a culture. When it benefits you, you do have a culture. And you can't keep flip-flopping. Here's why. Because I think me and Chaotic have both been on. Hold on. Yeah, me and Chaotic have both been on record saying that Black American people are actually the most influential Black people in the world, which means that people copy your culture. All right, the way you talk, the way you dress. Hip hop is a culture. That's the term used to describe hip hop. So you do have a culture. It's just that when the way it trickles down to, well, a subculture got to come from a culture. You said it,
right,
not me.
But again, you keep saying. So here's the thing about culture: there's usually some form of homogenous being, right? If I ask you what it means to be, well, I can't ask you. You're Nigerian, and I can't ask Chaotic Truth because y'all Nigerian. So let me ask somebody Black. What does it mean to be Black?
Kyle, do you want to answer that?
I mean, yeah, and I agree.
No, Chaotic. No, Chaotic. You've already said you're Nigerian. No, Chaotic.
Let Kyle answer. He had something to say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Chiki's saying. I mean, in my opinion, I would say that it's tough to identify what Black culture is in America, because I think that, Black culture isn't, like hip hop culture, beforehand. I think Black culture is way bigger than that. So I just think that the thing that's imitated is hip hop culture. It's not necessarily Black culture, because I think when someone was speaking earlier about when he was speaking about how white girls might change the way they talk when they're around a bunch of Black people. Well, that imitation, they're talking hip hop talk. They're not talking Black culture, because the idea that this is how all Black people sound, is really not the best image of Black culture overall. So I would just agree with Cheeky on that. I don't think that there's, any kind of identifiable Black culture that you could pinpoint in America. I think that hip hop culture is not synonymous with Black culture. Those two things are not equal to me.
Can I
answer the fact that hip hop was also created by Puerto Ricans, right? It's like people added to hip hop.
Puerto Ricans,
like, if you know hip hop, if you know hip hop was both created by Black and Puerto Rican, right? A lot of the drums that they use is the same stuff you hear in different parts of Hispanic music. It's in Africa, right? So what I'm trying to say is, it's easy for somebody, right? It's easy for somebody that comes from a cultural background that's already concrete and made to say, hey, this is what I want, or this is what you guys should do. And I understand that. That's not, oh, you got to go see Robinson.
I mean, let's make this, let's do it this way. Do black people have their own food? Their own, the way they cook food?
Soul food?
No.
They do.
Okay,
That's
so
generally attributed.
I mean, you know, we have fried food, but that's not necessarily a cultural cuisine that's unique to black people. Even that's kind of like more Southern culture.
Y'all are being real disingenuous, because look at it this way: jollof rice. When you look at rice across the world, it's still the most people's main dish is rice and some type of meat. All right, so it's like Nigerian fried rice and the arroz con pollo that be making in Panama use a lot of the same ingredients, right? So it's like, all right, yes, y'all do have your own style of food.
Okay,
right?
so let's get to how about this? Let's add, I'm gonna ask the more important question, the more pertinent ones. Do we have our own religion?
Well,
do we have our own set of beliefs?
Hold on.
I mean, but you're asking about music.
Black people have their own style.
Huh?
Black people have their own style. Do black people have their own brands? They do. And do black people have their own music?
Own style of what? What are you saying? Religion?
No, fashion. Do you have your own style in the way you wear clothes, or clothes that were made popular by black people? Yes, you do. So therefore, you're talking about things that don't really impact the overall being. Do we have our own religion, food, music, and style?
And what is that? And what does that have to do with standards? What does that have to do with morals?
That's the whole way of
ethics,
life,
beliefs? Like, that's the main part of a human being, and that's how you determine whether or not you're going to be successful.
Plus, when you talk about,
I'm sorry, Trigger Mike. Whenever I hear Nigerians speak about their culture, they typically aren't talking about what they're dressed like or their jollof rice. They're talking about the things that are established, like their morals, their ethics, their behavior, their mannerisms, their respect for their elders. You establish that through their culture. That's concrete. I'm not talking about minuscule things like dancing or hip hop or like things that matter.
We don't disagree. And I remember, if you remember, I said one of the reasons why I feel like people are not accepting of Black Americans is because what's popular in the mainstream is the disrespect. Right? So it's not that there aren't any values, because like I read history. In American history, Black people were the most squared away at some point. We were the most married at some point. The most people least likely to have daughters that had babies out of wedlock at some point. So Black people once had these values. Now it's pushed that they don't practice these values at all. They practice disrespect. If I was to use the phrase respect isn't given, it's earned, who do you think said that? If I give you one race of person, you think whose mouth that came out of? That's a Black person. Disrespect is now the norm, and that's what's promoted and taught on down. So it's not like you didn't have it. You just, like, Black people in general just chose to ignore it and declassify that as a norm in Black culture.
So
I do have a question.
Pass down culture. Okay, that's fine.
I do have a question. I know you guys are getting really heavy into the culture, but I kind of wanted to make it more about dating.
Cool.
Okay, that's fine.
So I do have a question. We skipped over question 2 because we kind of hopped over it to question 3. I wanted to know, do you notice a difference in how other races approach you, flirt with you, interact with you versus your own? I asked this question because I noticed a difference. I wanted to know. I don't know how girls went.
I do. So I think I'm on record saying that we all know that every ethnic group of man prefers, either intrinsically, like even if subconsciously or not, whether they know it, they prefer their own ethnic group, their own ethnic counterpart of women. One of the things I think gets misconstrued about Black men, especially when they date out, is that women aren't realizing that in other cultures, well, I'm really just talking about white girls and some Hispanic women, they are way more forward. Like they steal. Yeah, they are way more forward. So there have been nights, in college.
You said white women or
white women, Hispanic women. It's almost like when they see what they want, or they're like, I've been asked, do you want to come home? That type of stuff. Like, let me buy you a drink. Can you buy me a drink? Like, they stand in front of your face before you can get to the Black woman you was looking at all night. Because Black women will just stare at you all night, but those women kind of cut in and say, I want that. Let me go get it. Because
So
I don't know if
they'll
that's
present
cultural.
themselves to you.
Exactly. So
I'm
when women
here.
are saying, oh, black men just like white women, and I say a lot of black men were distracted by white women. And they were just distracted. While you were looking at that black woman all night, that white girl was like, hey, sexy, how you doing? My name's Kelly. Oh, sorry, not Dale. You know you chose a predominantly white name, but my name's Nicole. I dated 2 white girls named Nicole. They will just distract the black man, and I do believe that they're a lot more promiscuous up front. Like I dealt with that in high school. They will get down to it, like what they're looking for and all of that, which is distracting. Mission over for the night, right? So you're just gonna go home with her. So I do believe that's one of the things going on.
And then after that, when you start realizing, like Chaotica say, that they're so pleasant and they just are wonderful and they are just the apple of all of our eyes. After you already got some, now you wake up, turn out they're actually pleasant to be around, and that's how that goes. So I don't think it's anything more than that sometimes for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Okay, can I say something? And then Raul Duke, I want to know how they are, what you notice. I have a question for, I guess this is mostly for the black men. It's more of a why, because I've noticed with other races, because I do get hit on by all races, right? But I've noticed that my compliments from other races are, you're so gorgeous, you're stunning, you're so beautiful. But then with black men, I'll get the, yeah, you right, you're kind of cute or whatever. Why? Why does that happen? I've asked a lot of black guys this question, but like, they be like, you right.
Do y'all also want to bring? Y'all realize that in the realm of preference, black men have like a whole way larger spectrum than every other race of man. Women are just like like Raul said, with white women or Caucasian women in general, they might go by hair color, but that's it. Black men have a whole spectrum: light, caramel, dark, crunchy black, purple, natural hair. We have a whole spectrum to go through on preference. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think that's talked about a lot. So that's why you might be getting that, because it's just different. It's a long spectrum of black women.
Okay, Chaotic, you were raising your hand.
I've said it before and I keep saying it again. And Kelly, do you mind reading my super chat before I say what I'm going to say, please?
Sure. I'm not really sure how to do that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Let me see.
Okay.
Just click it. Just click it?
Yeah, just close it.
Show me. Hold on. The professionals teaching.
Yep, absolutely. Do you mind if I read it real quick? A guy named Chaotic Truth Live says, for the $10 super chat, thank you so much, Chaotic Truth Live says, let's start a petition to get Cheeky off the panel. Dude hit a PCP bomb. I rock with Cheeky, man, but he talking nonsense right now. Hey guys, let's be completely honest. Hey Kelly, listen, respectfully, you may be an angel. Curves, you may be an angel.
And I am.
But most black men don't know that. Listen, most
Jesus
black men,
Christ.
when we deal with black women, we deal with violence. We deal with black women who have attitude. When you walk into a convenience store, when you go into a restaurant, when you go into a shopping center, if a black woman is a cashier, and I've always said this, the darker she is, the more attitude she has. What you want? We ain't got that. Why you looking at me? So we don't want to have to deal with the nonsense. So approaching black women is like you have to proceed with caution. Black women have gotten black men killed. Black women have gotten black men jailed and imprisoned. I don't get that when I'm around beautiful white women. Even to this day, they're just pleasant to approach.
You're so wrong. You're so
curves.
wrong.
Curves.
But you're so wrong. You know how many black men have been killed because
I'm answering Kelly's question, and here goes a black woman.
Come on. Okay, both of you, I'm calling time.
She can't help herself.
I'm calling time.
She gotta interrupt me.
I'm
And
calling
I
time. I
made
know
videos
listen.
You
about
kind of
these-
walked into that curve. You kind of
I've
walked
made
into
time.
videos
They just
about
let
these
him run
Negro
rampant. They let him say
women.
whatever
I've
he
made
wants to
videos about these
say.
Negro women with
Okay,
their
I'm
nose
calling
piercings, their
time.
tattoos, and she's prime example.
I'm calling time. We don't do this on that show. I don't do that. Great. Curves, give him a moment to finish. Chaotic, finish what you were saying, and then Curves, you can chime in. We're not doing the yelling on the
Again.
I
show.
wasn't
Okay,
yelling.
Again.
I know, but
No,
the
no,
back and
it's talking
forth.
about chaotic.
Thank you, Kelly.
Let
Thank you,
Chaotic
Kelly.
finish, and then Curves, write
Thank
down
you.
your points and jump
Thank
in,
you.
okay?
Thank you, Kelly. Again, to answer your question, when you go into I've made videos about this for anybody who watches my channel. I give out advice. When I was teaching, I said, listen, when you go into a shopping center, find a old black woman, preferably a white woman. Don't go to no young black female cashier. She's gonna give you attitude. She's gonna give you lip. She's gonna give you a problem. When I go into restaurants and I know I'm about to spend $200 and $300, I say, I don't want Shaniqua serving me. I go right to the hostess and say, put me in a zone where it's a white woman, because I know that black woman is gonna give me attitude and give me lip. I don't have time for it. I don't want to be out here fighting. I literally do that because my thing is that I have had bad experience after bad experience with black women in customer service, with just black women walking. So to Kelly, to answer your question, Kelly, you may be an angel. But the reason why a lot of black men don't approach you is because a lot of black men have gone through trauma.
No, I never said they don't approach.
No. What I'm saying is you don't get the same responses that a white man gives you, because a lot of black men are just afraid and they won't admit it. They would love to say, hey, sweetheart, everything about you is well put together, blah, blah, blah. But see, they probably have done that before. And some Negro who's a crazy cousin, a crazy uncle, a crazy ex, somebody, why you talking to her like that, man? What the fuck? See, white boys ain't doing that. East Indian boys ain't doing it. Give me a second. It's the truth, and you Negroes know it. Cheeky, you know it. I'm older than you, Cheeky. Listen, I'm almost 70 years old. I've seen it. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it. I'm the Negro whisperer. My God, if there was a National Geographic for Negroes, I'm the David Attenborough of Negroes. I've studied our people. It's something wrong with us, and we gotta admit it, because we gotta admit it to correct it. People would love. I'm about to land the plane, Kelly.
Yeah, landed.
People would love to say, Kelly, Curves, your glasses are this, your hair is this, but time and time again, a black man is called corny when he does it. He lame. He weird. Why did he? Man, we ain't got time for that. I'd rather go over to those 4 white girls and say, hey, how you guys doing? Oh, we're doing fine. Go over to 4 black women. Nigga, why you talking to us? Ugh, you corny, nigga.
When he's done, I'll answer the question with all the theatrics.
Well, Curves is waiting, so Curves, you can go, and then
prove me wrong, Curves.
I'm not sure what the question is. I just
Negro
came
woman?
and I didn't hear. I missed the question.
So the question, because Chaotic is not all the way wrong. He's just extra.
Yeah,
the question is, why do? Oh, go
do
ahead.
you notice a difference in how other races approach, flirt, or interact with you versus your own? That's the question.
Do I notice a difference?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. They're not as aggressive as the Negro man, as Chaotic would say. They're because like I've actually dated a white guy, and yeah, it started off really cool, chill. We were just talking about things that we had in common. It wasn't him sliding in my DMs trying to be like, hey girl, you look good, I'm trying to get to know you. It was literally, we just had conversation, and through conversation we were like like we like each other, and then it went from there. So I would say it's not as aggressive. It wasn't like, hey girl, I'm trying to get to know you, or what you got going on, or where your man at, you know what I mean? It was none of that. It was very organic. It didn't seem forced, and it was tasteful.
Now I don't gotta call
You know,
Kelly.
aggression is a sign of masculinity, right?
I'm sorry, what?
I said aggression is a sign of masculinity. I don't think anybody here was hurt by that.
I don't think she was trying to hurt him. And Kelly, so again, chaotic wasn't wrong in all of what he was saying. He's just extra. That's why I was shaking my head because he just do too much.
It's
but
like
honestly,
theatrical, chaotic performance.
I know it's just a lot. But but in all honesty, the reason why men may approach you in that way is part of what he's saying. Like, we do have a culture of women where if you don't approach them in a certain way, if you don't have a necessary, like some type of swag or some type of, I don't know, charisma that, you know, most people may not carry. I mean, there's uniqueness about being black, especially in America, that most people don't have the same swag, which a lot of black women complain about when they date out. Like, it's not the same. I've heard that before. Like, it's not the same. He don't have the same. It's not as fun. He don't get certain stuff. He don't got the same charisma. But part of the reason why they approach you like that is because they've been raised to do that based off of the other women they've encountered. And since you look like the other women, how am I supposed to know? Right? Hey, how are you doing? My name is so and so. What's your name? Like, I've never been to a high school, a college, anywhere where predominantly black people at, and they talk like that. Like, it's like, hey, what's your name? Like, how you feeling? How you doing? And then I'm good. It's never, hey. So Kelly, if I had to take a guess, did you grow up in a mixed or predominantly white area?
So we were raised in a diverse community. My parents always had us around different races.
So military.
Wait, y'all related? Y'all related?
Who?
Oh,
you said we. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Well, she's got siblings.
Well,
I'm assuming.
I'm one of 5 children, so we.
All right, so I'm assuming she's saying we is her siblings. So, again, your experience is diverse. I was raised in Atlanta, and we don't really talk to girls like that. So, it's just,
your experience is quite different. But
yeah, because I was raised in the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? In the Midwest, you know, it's a completely different aesthetic. You know, Chicago is a completely different thing going on. So that's
how would you approach a woman, Kyle? Like, what would you say, like, from the Midwest?
I mean, it's all the same. You know, Chicago culture and Chicagoland culture is not so specific. You know, when you get into the, you know, deeper pockets of where there's a lot of black people talk a certain way, but for the most part, everybody kind of talks the same kind of language. So that's why I think that's why you'll see in a lot of metropolitan areas where there's a lot of diversity, you'll see a lot of interracial couples, because for the most part, everybody kind of is talking the same, they're using the same words. When you go to the club, there's all the same kinds of music. So, you know, which to me, when it comes to black people, it's more hip hop culture that they're identifying with versus you and your blackness. So I think that's a lot of the times, even when white women come up to you and flirt with you, it may be rooted in a thing where they think they speak your language through the lens of hip hop and through like pop culture versus them really celebrating you as a black person. You know what I mean? That's why I think the interaction is different, because they really don't know you. All they know about you is Travis Scott. You know what I mean? What they heard through that. And you know what I mean? And that kind of lifestyle. They really don't know the black experience. Whereas when we may be speaking to a black woman, they know so much more about us that we can't necessarily front in front of them. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different interaction off top. So I just think that, you know, it's a completely different dynamic, because they're trying to learn something, or they're trying to hitch their wagon to you, versus another group, you know, group of black women. They may already know what you are, so they're shutting you down. They already know your game. You know what I mean? Because they were raised around their brothers, so they already know you trying to run game on them, to where even when you're not, that's how they're going to treat you. So when Chaotic talks about violence and all that, I really feel like that's just more of a specific experience that a lot of women have with their own siblings versus anything that I could do when I'm walking up on a woman.
Now, would you say that you in your race, you deem other races more exotic or desirable? Like, you would never look at someone within your race and be like, she's so exotic. You always look outside of your race for that?
No, I mean, if we're gonna use race as skin color, then no. I mean, beauty is, there's a wide spectrum of beauty. So I would consider an African woman, you know what I mean? When they have the Miss Universe, you know what I mean? And Miss Ethiopia come out and Miss, you know what I mean? Miss Kenya come out. Them are some beautiful, exotic, dark skinned, wonderful looking women. You know what I mean? Beautiful women. So I would consider them just as exotic as I would some woman from Colombia or Jamaica, whatever it is, where, you know what I mean, their skin tone may be a little different, something I haven't really seen before. Some of these Brazilian women, you know what I'm saying? I think that too many people consider exotic as something that's not white, but also not black. So it's always something in the middle. So it's a blend of something. That's where exotic comes from. When really it could be a lot of things. And so no, I don't not consider black women as not exotic to me. No.
Would all the men on the panel agree with that across the board?
Well, no, if you're talking about black American women, they're not exotic to most black men. Like I said, we've had a spectrum. We got a wider spectrum. We've dated the whole spectrum, right? And when I say exotic, I do mean in contrast to me. So I think there's actually, and this goes for men and women, we do enjoy, at the very least sexually, a little bit of contrast. I told the story on one of these shows where first time I ever, did that with a white girl, for some reason, I didn't know their nips were pink. I didn't know. So she just on top of me, I'm like, wow. And then to go along with that exotic experience, remember, as black people, we have a certain cadence, we have a certain tone of voice they don't have. White women make different sounds during intercourse. That was an exotic experience. Like, this is off beat, this is off rhythm. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, I'm gonna go back to my people. You sound weird. You see what I'm saying? So it's an exotic experience in that sense. Whereas more black,
but is it exotic for you because you identify as Nigerian? You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm saying, woman, outside of identifying as Nigerian, even Nigerians in America will assimilate more to, let's say, the hip hop. All, like, you see what I'm saying? Even our music, like all Afro beats people and hip hop people and R&B are making music together. So you know what I mean? It's all kind of in the same genre of people. Whereas if I go ask a white girl to go cook me something after we've done it, it's going to taste completely different. That's going to be an exotic experience there. So it's really that contrast. I think some people want a very deep contrast from themselves, and it doesn't get any bigger than black, any different than black and white. Because I'm telling you, that nipples thing was a big thing. I was staring like, wow.
Well, not all their nipples are pink, right, Raul Duke? I know we probably have more experience with white
not all
nipples.
Break it down, Raul.
All right. All you guys, I gotta say, I'm being the only white person on a panel of mostly black people. There was an Arab and a Latino. White people came off great tonight. I mean, we just came off with flying fucking colors. Chaotic truth just blew our women right out of the stratosphere. As far as them being more aggressive towards you because you're black, maybe. I mean, for white girls, if they like you, they're gonna fucking come get you. Okay. If they kind of like you, they might play coy. Some girls will like you and you still got to fight for them, the same as before. But they do have a little bit of strike. I would say Latino women are more aggressive than the white women if they like you. They will come on much stronger. I've had a white girl just in my face with her baby blue eyes just hypnotizing me. But I've had Latino girls grab my fucking collar and come in. I think they have a little bit more pull than the white ladies. As far as
they do put their hands on dudes. Yes.
Yeah, they do. They grab you. Okay. I've never had experience with a black woman. As far as the nipples, most of them are pink. Some of them are ghosts. Have you had a ghost nipple girl yet? It looks like it just blends in. You can't even see the areola. It's weird. That's a white girl thing. It just blends right the fuck in. I'm sorry.
Yo.
Very sorry. I didn't mean to get that far into it. There are... And I have never asked a white chick to cook me some food after I got done hooking up with her. That's a unique thing for me. So good props to you, Trigger Mike, for getting somebody.
Yeah, it was actually a game because everybody says white girls like to make sandwiches after sex. So I just asked.
I've never asked in my life, but I intend to with the next one.
What
So
kind of
she made that
operation?
one. She's like, I'll see what I got. It's like,
I'll see what
okay.
happens. I'll see what happens.
What kind of operation is being going on over here? I'm sending over super chats. I would like my super chats read. I know they're not a lot, but where
I'm
am I
just saying, like with the nipple thing, like the Latino girls have
Super
darker
chat
nipples and there's darker coloration down low. You know, pubic hair, if they have any, is different. But for the most part, I honestly believe that your experiences with girls of different race was just your specific experience with them. I think Latina girls is going to be the shy ones, is going to be the aggressive ones. White girls, shy ones, the aggressive ones. You're saying all black chicks will just like blow your ass off because I think you're all players. I mean, I work around a lot of black women, and they're all very nice to me. I don't get
Yeah.
that.
So
the
right there,
dynamic
I'll
is
say that
different.
That's the
your
question.
experience. I was gonna say your experience with black women will actually be very different
Mhm.
than
The
a black
dynamic
man.
is going to be different.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that?
Oh, it's deep. I mean, it's deep. I'm gonna be honest. It's because, well, remember I said all of the issues that we're going through from a socioeconomic standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, with parents being absent from the home, that has caused a lot of deep-seated disdain for black men from black women. Period. Like, the way you can watch, if you did an experiment and watch a black woman socialize herself with other races of people, then let a black man come up before he says a word, you can tell her demeanor might change, her interactions. And we're talking about immature black women, right? Not a working black woman who knows she has to interact with people, but immature black women will show you what I'm talking about damn near every time. They interact with black men almost to the point of disrespect, and then you have to earn their respect. But they will give that natural respect to every other man.
Anybody else care to chime in? Kyle, did you have anything to say on this one? And no. Coach K,
No, I think it
welcome.
was
No. Yeah, y'all go ahead.
What's up, Coach
I
K?
definitely don't disagree. Yeah, Coach K jumped in. I'd like to hear her input here.
Kelly, I know you're the host over here, but I've sent over like 50 super chats. I would like to get them read out loud. I'll read them if you want me to.
I only saw one. I'm learning how to pull them up.
Okay,
So give me
I
a
got
moment.
you.
We'll get it. We'll get it. I promise.
Okay, I got you. I got a lot of super chats I want read.
Okay. We will get to them. I promise.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna let Coach K go, and then I'll figure it out by the time she's finished. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Panel in the chat. Miss Kelly, thanks for having me. I only caught a little bit because I was puppy sitting, which sounds probably so crazy, but they're newborns. So the only thing that I know for sure that Chaotic usually says is the whole like white women are heaven thing. That's always hilarious to me. I came in on also nipples, so I would rather not speak on that. Sugar Mike, I've heard you say that before.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'll probably just wait a little bit, and unless people have questions, I'll just probably just jump in when you guys just keep going. But I missed a lot of it, so.
Well, Raul has been holding it down.
The question you jumped in on was, do you notice a difference in how other races approach, flirt, or interact with you versus your own? And I know you're engaged, you're married, so if you don't want to answer that, I don't want to disrespect your situation.
Well, I mean, but the question could be, why do you flirt differently with black men than you would with any other man? Like, what is it about the black man that makes you feel more comfortable to flirt a certain way? You may get closer to them. Like, what is it that you may think is the difference?
Even though I didn't say that, I could see that. Like,
I'm about to say.
I'm just re-asking your question, Kelly. Like, what is it like in terms of just flirting? Because I feel like you'll see that very often in public places where it seems like a white woman is way more prone to flirt with a black man in public nowadays, more so than ever. So I just wonder why that is versus any other man that they may see that's equally attractive.
It doesn't have to be black men. It could be Asian men, Hispanic.
You said it's
Sure.
more what than ever? Sorry, I'm bad.
Why do you think it happens in terms of like the level of confidence to just cold walk up to black males or any males, like Kelly was saying, like a Latino male? Like, why is it different versus a white guy?
I heard they had a bigger situation,
I would say that maybe with black men, I'll be honest, more easygoing. I mean, I think this is also too like for just all races in general, it's like a maturity thing too, and in the confidence
You guys
levels.
mute in between. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. If you're not talking, can you mute?
The confidence levels of the men too, just of all races, you know, because of course, like even though I'm married, I mean, I'm friendly in general, but some people, they just aren't confident. They won't make eye contact. Like, you know, when I was in the service industry, like I'd crack a joke, whatever. And, but I mean, for the most part, I think Black men have just been more friendly, jokey, whatever, easygoing. And then as far as like Latino or Hispanic, I mean, they've always been fine too. And I think, I don't know, I think not all white guys are very friendly, I'd say. That you could flirt or whatever, I would say. They're kind of, I don't know. It probably depends on my mood, but like I've been in a lot of Call of Duty freaking lobbies, and these freaking guys, I don't know what race they are, but they are rude as hell.
Call of Duty lobbies. So I do want to say, there is one thing that I noticed when I was in the service, and you know, I think I've been a gentleman all my life. You know, I was raised that way. So I always entered into most interactions with women in earnest, getting to know them. And I realized with white women especially, they interact and flirt with Black men in a certain way, because even if they don't desire a relationship with you, they're being aggressive and flirting in that way because they want to do a certain activity with you. And I think Black men have the advantage over all men for that. Hispanic women do it, white women do it, Asian women do it, because, you know, if we're talking about that anecdotal conversation of who has the biggest package, it seems like all women want to experience it and see if it's true. And they're not going to call you the next day. You damn sure can't meet their daddy, right? So that's funny because it's, you know, everybody
can I just say that was a lie?
Okay.
The whole package thing is a
how
lie.
many packages have you seen?
Huh?
Never mind.
Only one for me.
No, I'm just saying it's like Asian men, they say, right, have the smallest, and they're also the least desired man in America. So it's like, I think that some of that interaction comes from women just want to try us out. They don't take us seriously. They don't want a relationship, but they're flirting and giving that type of interaction because it's like a dominance thing. You're I heard you can really handle yourself in the sack. I want to see what that's like. And then they go on about their business.
So I will say, my friend, she's one of my best friends is Korean, and like she was born in Korea. In college, she had to do a project or a report or something, and she had to do a study. She was a virgin, so not like actual study, but she had to just do a study on the penis sizes within the races. And she said it was known that the Asians had the smallest penis sizes, and the Asian women had the Asians have the biggest heads, but their women's have like the smallest like area, so they have to do a lot of C-sections. So anyway, so Asian men's have the smallest, and Jamaicans are actually the largest, according to
you got the smallest head and the biggest head. That's a double entendre.
Yes. So, and I have had friends from Jamaica, and he told me that women will just come up to them when they're on vacation in Jamaica, just like, I just want to know what it's like, because they have statues with large, you know, penises just all around Jamaica, and they're like, I just want to know what it's like. I'm on vacation. I just want to know.
Maybe, you know, do you think that the Black men should embrace that, you know, like the being fetished? I feel like that's a huge part of this entire new wave of interracial dating, is really just the Black man is now like it seemed like some kind of experience that you should go get. Yeah. Is that something that the Black man is supposed to embrace and be proud that now I can go out here and sleep with any white chick or an Asian chick I want every day?
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say yes, because you got to take wins where you can get them. It's up to the individual man on how he's going to be taken seriously on his other merits. But I will take what I can get in the society, because in the same breath, we can say we have the most shit against us. Do we not? So anyway, anything I can get that puts it in my favor. Hey, you think I got the biggest Johnson?
Maybe you should make business cards and say like willing to be experimented with.
No,
It's
I'm
the
telling you,
same
no, it's
thing.
like most of the men here are college educated, and it was a thing. And I don't believe you curse for life that it's a lie because they kept coming back, and they you
Hold on,
know
hold on.
they,
What do you mean? Like I didn't even get to specify. What do you?
well,
What did you
please
take from what
specify. I
said?
could be wrong.
No, you said that. Like you said, you were pretty much like. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were implying that like small men. I mean, small white men have smaller penises, right? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're implying?
No, I have no idea who has small anything. I said
Okay, so what were you talking
black
about?
women assume black. It's not even so. I think Kyle said it the best. Black men give the best sexual experience, and the way it was broken down to me from a white girl, I said, "So what is?" Because, like I said, I tried to call her, but like, "Yo, you trying to go out later?" She's looking at me like, "I didn't want all that. I wanted what we just did." She was like, "It's like a rhythm thing. It's like that's all she said. She's like, you just, it's like a rhythm thing. I can really," and that's the way she said it. And isn't that what we call, white people? Sorry, Coach K. Sometimes they're called rhythmless, right? So I just started putting things together.
No, that's a fact. I feel like.
So it's an experience, not just the size, right? How it's used.
Okay. I misunderstood what you said. Never mind. I take back
No
whatever
worries.
I said.
Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, sorry. It's a rhythm thing. So
I just want to vote that that's a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, he's back now.
I can't laugh.
No.
My big ass white cock, and
Objection.
and then I heard the bullshit going on.
Hey, look, Raul, on some real, and I like to break things down scientifically. There is only one race of dude, and it's black dudes that have a span of categories in the corn industry on different women. Like they're the number one clicked like person. When I heard that, I was like, okay, but that's just to say to the point where we are the most fetishized male, right? So it's not necessarily a good thing. Like Kyle said, should we really be, feeling like we should?
Right, because I mean, if you break it down, like a lot of it, we already say that there's not a lot of dating, that maybe in the traditional sense is really just a lot of situationships and hooking up. So if we want to talk about, you combine the lack of true relationships with all this fetishizing of black men, is really just like, all we're doing is just giving women experiences. So that's cool when you are about that life and you're out there trying to get your numbers up. But as a culture, I don't know if that's a positive thing. And so I don't know if that's really going to result in progression of families and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, we're all getting it in and that's cool. But what's going to happen after that is I guess, the question.
I have a question.
And is that even dating?
Hold on, Curves, hold your question because I have to get to these super chats. But you'll be first as soon as the super chats are up. Raul, do you mind volunteering to read them?
I guess I've been volunteered. All right.
Thanks. This is the first one.
No, that's not the first one. It was like 4 before those. But,
I'm
The guy paid $5 to say Raul a skinhead. Let's be honest. For $5, I'll tell you the truth. No, I just lost my fucking hair.
Okay. Do you want to read the next one?
This guy paid $2 to say curves for life. Fights at the club every other Friday.
I don't even go to the club.
Here's the next one.
Another guy paid $2. Curves for life. Smokes weed and drinks Tito's. In that bottle right there. That's Tito's.
This is the last
there you go. Oh, this is a good one. This is a $5 one. Coach K is an angel. Every black woman should aspire to be like her.
Until I interrupt you like that one panel.
Trolling.
Just think you could have actually.
Well, that's chaotic live. That's his shit. That's
you
his
could have
game.
bought a drink with that money.
He's gonna have.
He's trolling.
I bet you money he paid that money himself. He wrote it
We
in.
got another super chat from John O.
John O didn't say shit. He just gave you $12 in euros.
But thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for tuning in.
Boy, that's funny.
So silly.
Smokes weed and drinks Tito's. That's freaking hilarious.
I drink Tito's.
Are you laughing because he's not wrong?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, I'm like,
Nope. I drink that Ciroc brandy. If you want to know.
Got you.
I
think that's on the same aisle as the Tito's, unfortunately.
I mean, I'm glad I asked for y'all's opinion.
Oh, we
drink
just
Cosmo
that's
wine.
in. You know we love you, Curves.
We do.
Curves, what was your question that you had?
Go ahead, Grace. Curves.
Damn, I forgot. Now I guess it's because I smoke so much weed. According to Chaotic.
Cheeky,
No, I
you want
really
to match?
did forget my question.
I'm covered for now.
What's up?
Oh, no,
I guess we'll move on to the next question. Okay.
I know, I see you.
Because what you were talking about, you were saying like black men being fetishized and everything like that. My question to you was going to be, do you believe that it is because do you believe that black men are dating to marry, or are black men out here just casually dating so you do become fetishized because that is all you were trying to do?
I mean, well, the culture, I feel like, again, being that hip hop culture and black culture are so closely linked, hip hop culture is really driven by younger people. And so younger people, 21 to 25, let's say, they're for sure not out here trying to date to marry. They're getting it in as much as they can. You can go to YouTube and watch all these street interviews that young college kids do. Everybody's really just getting down. They exchanging Snapchats and they hooking up and they barely know each other at all. So, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, I feel like a lot of guys are out here, participating in it just to get their numbers up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everybody's trying to get it in regardless. So at the same time, the women are also participating in it. Once upon a time, I feel like when we all were coming up, it wasn't just so easy and accepted that even just for dudes to just be out here smashing, all these white women so openly, really it was something that you and your friends might have knew about, but it really wasn't like, I'm going to the mall and I'm gonna be out here talking to white chicks in the middle of the mall. Like that was something that was kind of taboo. You know what I mean? If you got a white girl's number, it was on the low a little bit, unless you was, King Dingaling. Whereas nowadays, you walk up, it's almost expected that girls are gonna flock to you as a black man versus everybody else. So I think that it all kind of plays a part into it. But no, I don't think there's any kind of dating for marriage. I think if anything, we trying to smash tonight. We met you today, we're trying to smash tonight, and then smash your friend tomorrow. And that's just kind of how that is right now.
Right. So I feel like that's probably why it plays a part as to why black men are more fetishized. Because I do see that. So I just want to know your take on it.
I mean, but that kind of goes, it's fetish house for a bunch of different reasons. It's taboo. As much as we'd like to think that all this stuff is over, it's still taboo. There's still something taboo about being with somebody who doesn't look exactly like you. Especially when they've got stereotypes like they got big penises, and whenever you look at an athlete, the first thing you think about is a black man. Like, you got to think about aesthetically just how black men are built. I mean, the whole shebang. It appeals to women. So
I mean, look what TikTok has done to interracial relationships. You know what I mean? Every popular TikTok so-called content creator is really just like doing a dance that that is pretty much inspired by hip hop dance, or, is dancing to some rap song or whatever it is. So that plays into it even more so when it comes down to black men. You know what I mean? Look at all kinds of athletics. Athletes nowadays are damn near the leaders of the community to some people. And so a lot of those athletes are black males. You know what I mean? You go to a college and the person that's getting all the draws is the starting quarterback, starting wide receiver for the football team. So, and that dude is probably a black dude. So I don't think that any of that has to do with marriage or trying to build a community or anything like that. I really just think that it's, sex culture gone crazy a little bit. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of the freedoms that young people have nowadays to connect is, way larger than what we've ever had. So,
but I think that says something about like black people though. I don't like this idea of being just good enough to have sex with and not necessarily build a relationship with. That's something that's disrespectful to me. I think that says a lot about how you view me as an individual. But again, I'm taking the approach that most men don't, because most men don't care to think without their penis, which is, the unfortunate downfall of most men.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't appreciate not being valued outside of physical attribute. I think that's actually really demeaning and dehumanizing. That's just me personally. Now
And
I know people in the chat on the other end, you know what I'm saying? Y'all heathens and demonic satanic worshipers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's why I don't pay attention to the chat. But every other once in a while.
That's why I made that statement, Cheeky, that it's up to each individual man to build himself into something more that, to be desired than that. Because when you really look at it from the animalistic nature, every man wants to be that. Women want to be the most desired by men want to be the most desired by women. So if by default we have that part taken care of, because if that's all women are coming to you for, that means you haven't made enough. You're just a pretty face and you haven't done enough in your life to command any other type of respect. But I will take that. Like I said, we got enough against us. So shoot, if that is a way somebody wants to honor me, I'll take that because I'm also a serious man. You know what I mean? So
I was gonna say that a little bit is that I think because white people are Caucasian, whatever you want to call us, I guess, is the majority of the U.S. for now, but for a while it's been. So it's like maybe because it's different, dating someone that's not white. But I think if you're in a predominantly Black area, I'm sure dating someone that's not Black would be, I don't like saying taboo, but it would be different too. Like you're definitely going to turn heads or you might get comments. And I think as the racial makeup, whatever it looks like, I think it's going to be like that for all the groups, just in general. But and then also too, I love this space because these topics are relevant in the white community too. I think in all communities, but I'm white, so I guess whatever. But that's why I love this space because I don't know, and I haven't seen any other channels or whatever, and I've been in this space for a while now. But all of the things that you guys are talking about, I don't know. I think just women in general don't look at men in a very positive light anyway, kind of like what Chiki was saying. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I have for right now.
I think I think it's fair to look up, right? So I'll use the word taboo for a reason, right? And so I looked it up just to make sure because I could have been used out of context, but banned on grounds of morality or taste. And I think that still applies today. I think that still applies, which is the reason why she is fabulous. I'm not mad at it, man. I love the chat. They get on my nerve, but hey. But what I'm saying is like, I think that this idea that I can have sex with you as long as it's in secret is taboo. Like the reason why it's done in secret is because it's taboo, right? Like just like anything else, I think Black men unfortunately aren't valued outside of sex, and then for Black women it's similar too.
Yeah, it's like clout chasing. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of women, a lot of white women, not to single out white women, a lot of non-Black women, when it comes to dating Black men and certain Latino men or certain men who participate in hip hop culture, I think that some of that is just clout chasing too. Like they want to. It reminds me of back when Miley Cyrus said that she likes to be able to jump in and out of the culture whenever she wants to. Some of that is clout. Like she feels like she can do what she wants to do because she's a pretty white girl, so she can always lean on her sexuality that all Black men are gonna, fold to. But she can also still be a white woman where she can come out of that culture and present herself as, this all-American girl that's still connected to like more of a country aspect of herself. So I think a lot of that is just, for brownie points.
Miley Cyrus is built like a 12-year-old boy. Why would Black men bend to that?
I mean, when she had a run where she was associated with Black dudes. I feel like back when she was, I don't even know if she had an album. That Wrecking Ball stage that she went through. I mean, I feel like she was appropriating pretty hard at that time. So, and it was working for her. Like she was in the news almost all the time. Sure, her some of her biggest bags was during that time. And a lot of that was off of the implication that she was in tune with hip hop culture during that time. Like her and Nicki Minaj was kind of beefing at that time, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's what that was.
Well, I do have one more question. I know a lot of people have to go pretty soon, but I did have one question I wanted to ask because I know this is a poignant question. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to know with interracial dating, it can sometimes be okay with you and your friends, but once you bring the family into it, it may be deemed as a problem. So I kind of want to know like how your family would feel about it if you brought someone home of a different race, and if they were against it, is that a deal breaker for you?
Family get used to it, you know what I mean? Those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind, you know what I mean? They may give you a little earful about it before they've met that person. I know that when it was me, my aunts and uncles all had, you know, their opinions. And then when they finally met her, they were like, okay, yeah, she's fine. She understands what's going on. She's raised in the similar areas that we were. So even though she's white, it's still not like that. So I think that the people who do care, like Raul was saying, some of these older generations, they'll be dead soon. You know what I mean? So we could just outlive them. And sometimes that's the only way that you breathe that out of your life is death, and unfortunately. So this is my life. I can only live it for me. I can't be concerned with what my grandparents or my aunt is talking about. Go ahead, Chaotic. I know you've been trying to jump in.
Yes. Well,
been talking all night.
Typically, you know, it's hard for me to speak on black panels, but if you are a young man in the chat and you have been listening to this, and listen, I'm married to a black woman and I love black women, but I'll tell you this, and to answer the question, it ain't nothing like having a Coach K on your arms when you're walking into a black home. You need this. I'm telling you, that's an angel. Listen to the way she speaks. Listen to the softness in her voice. It's not just Coach K. This is how most white women are. They're peaceful. They're pleasant.
They're crazy liberal feminists.
No, we're not talking about the liberal little purple-haired white crazy women. We're talking about the regular white women. And I tell you, if you're 19, 20, you're looking at Lapeef like, I want to get so much advice from these old people because we're old millennials. I'm telling you, man, that's the best thing to do. Don't worry about what your mom say. Don't bring no white girl up here. If I were you, I'll bring 2 or 3 white girls up in your mom's house because those white girls are going to bring you peace and solidarity. A black chick is going to bring you drama generally, unless you better really good.
Do you feel like your wife brings drama into your household?
I vetted my wife to the T, Kelly. I'm sorry. I'm a superior Negro, and I vetted my wife. My wife, she has everything that I needed. I vetted her tooth and nail.
Do you feel like it's possible for there to be other women like your wife in this world?
Of course. Whether they're African or African American,
right, so,
it's hard. But what I'm saying, Kelly, is a lot of black men are not going to vet. A lot of black men are going to think with their penis first. And what I'm saying is at least do it with, you know, somebody who's going to bring you less drama. A white girl ain't going to set you up. A white girl ain't going to bring you drama. Black girls are, man. I've been around black women all my life, and I'm telling you. Go ahead, Trigger Mike.
You know, I was going to say, because, you know, you trip. Well, you're not tripping, but I hear what Chaotic is saying to a sense, right? Because I'm also married to a black American woman, and I did not have the easiest time. Okay, so I knew aesthetically that was my preference. I knew culturally that was my preference. It just wasn't easy, right? And my parents, they've alluded to naturally they wanted me to marry a Nigerian girl. In fact, I think I didn't, just as an act of defiance, right? But remember what I said earlier. It's about family values, future goals, and self-respect, self-worth, and all of that. And not all, but too many people in our community don't lead with that when they're showing themselves in the public. So that's what makes it hard for men who are seeking black women to find that. And for some reason, because, you know, if black women got a fever, white women got a cold. So white women are right behind black women in their debauchery and their ways, but it's other cultures of women that seem like they don't have as much of a problem, because to some degree they still have those family values instilled in them simply because their families were intact, right? So that's, like I said, it's not really a person thing. It's not that there's anything inherently wrong with Black women, but in this country we have a very vicious systemic cycle of BS, where these women are raised to be overly independent. Remember, I said they don't have a mind for men anymore. And how could they? Their father wasn't there. They don't prioritize their male's happiness at all. Right? Me. If I'm not happy, they actually think marriage is about happiness. It's about service, right? So it's like you got to find a woman that still has these values. And unfortunately, the ones that are in least supply look like me. So, hopefully that changes. I promise you, I will be on the coalition to help and mentor people so we can get those numbers back up. But that's what it is today.
I also think that has a lot to do with training. Like, I know how to do it because I saw my mother and father who were married, the household I was raised in. I experienced that. I know what it looks like for my mother to serve my father. So if you have a bunch of broken homes and it's predominantly Black people, where do they see that? Where do they learn it? How do they?
That's what I'm saying. That's all it is. That's all it is. Because it's not like I wanted to make it clear. It's not inherent. It's not like you're Black, you ain't shit. No. It is the example, and that's lost in the broken homes and all of that led to all of this happening.
Yeah, even when I have disagreements now, I'll call my mother, like, Mom, can you give me some advice on this? Because I know she's been a wife for 38 years. And she's like, okay, say it like this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it like that. And it immediately, like, just takes
Kelly,
all the problem away. It's so...
I do have to leave, but can I say one more thing real quick? Thank you so much for having me on here. You are an incredible host.
Thank you for coming, Kat.
And
I always appreciate your opinions.
And I totally forgot to say this. If you are interested in dating Black women, if you're asking yourself, how can I attract Black women? There's only one rule, and I tell people this all the time. Start dating white women. See how fast Black women start coming to you.
That is a good point. That is a good point. That is what I was gonna ask that. Does it bother you to see your own race date another race when you see that, like, out?
Okay. I don't like speaking. I don't like speaking for all Black men, but we got to put a nail in this one. Black men don't give a damn. We really don't care.
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
That's what I was wondering.
I think it's older. I think it's older generations that might feel that way, or bitter people. It's not necessarily just every.
Never in my life did I go. What's wrong with me? Serena married a white man. Something wrong with me? And am I inadequate? I just keep turning the page. I don't care.
I'm a strong proponent of divesting. If you are a Black woman in the chat, particularly if you're young, get all the white boys you can get. I support you. I've made videos about it. I made videos about it. I encourage you to do it.
Okay,
Black men ain't shit. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's the area that I'm in too.
It's the truth.
Like, I'm not in a rural area or whatever, but like, at least my family and the people that I'm around, the white people I'm talking about, they do not care. I never hear race talked about. That's just I mean, I just don't. So especially in terms of like caring about, who people are with or whatever, and like but at the same time, well, that could go down a rabbit hole, but yeah, so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, and if we're gonna be real about it, there's a reason. So we can't say that for Black women, and I'm not speaking for Black women, but I'm just breaking it down scientifically, right? Asian men, according to like the dating apps and all this data that's been getting gathered for the last 20 years, Black women and Asian men are like the least clicked on person. Like, people will say exclude, they'll hit that exclude button the most. Exactly. So it's like, it's for that reason, whether it's, they think they have attitudes, they don't wear their natural hair, all these different reasons. We all know what they are. I think that is what has led to the kind of that look when you're out with someone. I've been out with white colleagues with their wedding ring on, and people think I'm married. You see what I'm saying? Like, we just going to lunch, and they think I'm married to her. And that look, and it really comes from that feeling of being undesired. You know, it's not even that they have a problem with it to its core, because when Serena does it, they say love is love. You can love whoever you want to. So if you don't have a problem with her, you don't really have a problem with it. But we're looking at the man that's supposed to be yours, or at least in your image. It brings that feeling of being undesired out for Black women. I see that.
I think Trigger Mike's right. I think Coach K, wonderful existence for you to live there, but I've lived in some of the southern states, and 100%, there is definitely a prejudice against interracial dating. For me, like I said, my parents wouldn't mind, but my grandmothers would have. They're both dead now. But they certainly would have been very angry if I'd have brought any of my Latina or Asian girlfriends home. They would not have liked that. Why are you doing that? Why can't you find a nice white girl to settle down with? What's wrong with you? We're breeding that out. It will take time, and it'll take longer time for the less developed parts of our nation. But it definitely exists. We can't throw that away. Mike's right. It exists. And it exists not just for white people. It exists for all time. I'm sure there's plenty of Black parents that are like, don't bring somebody home that's not Black. I know there's a ton of Koreans who are like, if the guy is not Korean, don't bring the motherfucker home. It's not going away anytime soon. It exists. I don't think we as educated individuals should have to deal with it.
What about for your children? Like, if you had children and they were like, I'm in love with someone that's of a different race, would that be something you'd be okay with it in this day and age?
We've had this conversation multiple times. I don't give a fuck what you look like. How do you behave? How are you going to work with other people? Are you a good person? Or are you crabs in the bucket? If you're crabs in the bucket, I'll shoot you in the head. I don't care. If you're a good person, come along with me and we'll create a society. That's it.
Okay.
And Raul, I want to ask this question really quickly, because Black men get a lot of flack for their assumed love for white women. I don't ever want to hear anything about Black men and white women unless somebody's going to address white men and Asian women in the same sentence. They love them some Asian women.
Yep.
My wife is a vegetarian, sent me to H Mart, the Asian grocery store. Half the parking lot was white men with their Asian wives. And I was like, what is this, a convention? I was like, what is going on? White men love them some Asian women.
We fetishize Asian women the way Chaotic Truth fetishizes white women.
Thank you for admitting that openly.
Yeah, my uncle's like that. My dad always said, like, he just always dated Asian women. So I don't know.
Did everyone get to answer this question?
I don't know. Cheeky looked pissed off.
I know. What? I need to listen to this. What's going on, Cheeky?
I'm chilling.
I do have a couple of super chats after you go, Cheeky Banter.
Yeah, no, my parents didn't mind. When I brought her to the house, as a matter of fact, she was friends. I had known her for some years, so my parents not really big on the whole race thing. At least not my dad. My mom, ironically, said that she could see me with a white girl, and that made sense, right? Because it's funny, like when you're Black and you behave a certain way, you kind of know Black women don't really like you. So Black women didn't like me up until a certain point. Now that I'm on the internet and there's more exposure, now Black women are saying that's not true. We always, specifically now they like me, and it's like I think y'all are doing that just because I dated a white girl, like Trigger Mike was saying. So there's some level of, I don't know why, but there's some type of tension with that. Where just Black women did not like me, or the people that had the same interests as me. I didn't take it to heart, and I didn't date a white girl just to spite Black women. That's crazy. But yeah, no, my parents didn't care. Her parents didn't care. Her grandparents on one side definitely cared, and I never met them. She actually, her dad and everybody was just like, yeah, you're not meeting them. So that was it. But yeah, that's my experience.
I know my parents didn't care. My father was a pastor. He cared more about their religious beliefs. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm the only out of 4 sisters, I'm the only one that dates black guys. All my other sisters date outside the race. But my dad was never like, what color are they? Well, it's like, what do they believe in? Are they Christians? Do they have a relationship with God? Like that was his big question. He didn't care what you looked like. He cared about your belief system. So we weren't raised in that type of household. But I just like black men.
Cheeky, do you ever does it ever, well, on the internet, you can't have thin skin anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm even aware of that, coming into this space, whatever. But do you ever get tired of hearing that, that you dated a white girl?
Nah, because even when I wasn't dating a white girl, black girls or women would say you like white girls, and it's like, damn, I'm not even dating nobody. It's like for whatever reason, black men, especially when they're younger, we get classified as meant for not black women, and then when you get older, all of a sudden you're supposed to be for them again, and it's confusing. So they always black girls have always told me like, you like white girls. I'm like, no, I don't. I like women. So now that I'm older and I've got more exposure to women just because of the internet. Now I'm hearing black women are saying, no, we do like you guys, and it's like, y'all are confusing, because any young black man that has a similar experience, they say the same thing. I'm not making this up.
But how do you know they didn't like you? Did you try to approach them and they turned you down, or
when you walk by somebody and say you're ugly and that's all you say, then you walk past them, that's a sign. When you when you literally just hanging out with your friends and everybody joking on you, and then she got the joke to really tip it over the edge, you be like, the joke, for example, we can be in the lunchroom chilling, right? Everybody's got jokes. It's the lunchroom. Everybody's got milk carton head ass boy, right? Okay, she not supposed to be coming through out of nowhere. Everybody getting joked on. She picked you to joke on because you the easy target.
She had a crush on you, right?
Huh?
That's what we always said. When you're younger and you do that, it's because they have a crush on you.
No, you don't do that in high school. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's a different story.
No, I'm talking about high school. I'm talking about I'm not talking about I'm talking about in the more important stages, 15 and up. By that time, you don't do that. Most people have already dated one person or something. Girls, my experience with black girls in high school, I don't hold against black women today, but that's me. But I know a lot of black men who have that kind of trauma since high school. They have not let that go, and it still stick with them. And then it don't help that black women's some of the stereotypes they kind of make true also. So it's like it don't really help. It's a lot behind that, right? Because I was considered the nerd, which I'm cool with now. I've always been fine with that. Never really bothered me. But it's for whatever reason, other cultures or women seem to appreciate that more than black women did. So it made it so much easier to go to them, or they would come to you, right? Because that's another thing too. Black women, if they were interested, they didn't let me know by going, hey, I'm interested. White women and Hispanic women and 2 Asian girls, but mainly white women, they would come up to me like, hey, I think you're pretty cool. You want to hang out? Hanging out turned into being meeting every day somewhere, turn into, oh, I like you. But with black women, that's not what they do. They kind of look for you to take the shot. They kind of wait for you, and it's like, well, I don't trust you. I don't trust you to. How do I know if I go over there? You're not going to embarrass me intentionally, because I've seen that happen too, and it's like, couldn't be that guy.
You seem like a pretty smooth nerd.
I don't know what to tell you. I've been. So what's funny is my personality hasn't necessarily changed. I think maybe they matured. That's why I don't hold it against black girls, because they're girls. when you 15, 16, 17, I don't expect you to have the mental capacity to make a smart decision. Like he's a good guy. Like you're a dumb girl. It's okay.
But also,
Nah,
if Black women don't have a good male role model, how do they know what a good man looks like? The male role models they have are what?
yeah, I was gonna say
the
like
gangster
you're letting them
rappers.
off the hook. You're letting them off the hook. Because that behavior you're talking about that they display when they're 15, 16, 17, they carry that into their 30s now. And it's not cute.
Well, I'm not 30 and I don't really deal with them, so I wouldn't know. So if you see it, then
he said I don't need to deal with them.
I'm just being serious. I'm dead serious. Like I really don't.
They carry that mindset. So I definitely understand what you're saying, but like right now, you know, one of the reasons we talked about where white women and other races of women can easily get in front of Black men is simply because there's no barrier. They don't put a barrier up. And you know, our women, they do like, you know, if you charming, charismatic, you got swag, you're cool, you know, it's easy to get in front of them. That barrier is taken away. But if you're just
wait, real quick, real chaotic. Why you being toxic, dog? I saw your super chat.
Yes.
Chaotic, bro. You being toxic tonight, bro.
I do.
It's a Wednesday.
Don't look at chat. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Don't.
Nah, man. Chaotic, my guy, bro.
Chaotic.
Chaotic is my
he
dude.
sent a couple. That's not him. Rebellious says I like.
I had seen this scroll late. I'm like, this nigga chaotic.
I'll read some. We did get a few. It says I like white women, but let's not cap. They can be psycho.
They can be. It's not wrong.
You shady, chaotic.
And chaotic who said Black men get excluded because escorts ain't trying to get robbed. Let's be.
Okay, let me. Yo, go ahead.
Get rid of highly mixed nation. Oh, that wasn't a super chat. Rebellious video says in the buffet of women, I'm sampling everything. And you saw this one already, chaotic.
Guys, I'm out of here, man. It was fun tonight, man. Thank you so much, guys. I'm out of here.
Get out of here.
Coming on. Bye, chaotic.
You're a good fucking participant.
He's so goofy.
Oh my god.
He's a little out there, but he's got the right spirit.
That man that's
It's okay.
The only other person I think that really outbeats him is Eric. Eric is the only.
Yeah. Well, Eric, he's trying to be the number one troll of.
He's funny as hell, though.
Yeah, but
he's the only person that beats chaotic every day of the week.
I don't know, Eric.
I agree.
But chaotic is always amusing and entertaining. So
yeah,
they're both smart and like.
I was gonna say it's the intellect that makes it like
dangerous.
I want to hate him, but he makes so much sense. Like
the comebacks are so quick.
So I'm going to transition to the last question of the evening. It is based on statistics. Do you feel interracial relationships will be the new norm as we continue moving towards the future?
Shoot, to be honest, they're going to have to be in many communities. When you look at the rate at which, so there is something, you know, I did read your questions. I don't know why no one did the reading. Cheeky.
Look, man, it's been a busy day, man.
Shots fired.
Yeah, and what I did conclude is that I actually believe Black women. I believe Black men date out more than is represented in the statistics, because we got to understand there's no way to capture Black men because people aren't getting married right now. So the only way to really capture it is through marriage. And, you know, if you're just dating, when you see it represented, when I go to the Galleria, my gosh, Black men, Black man, I'm seeing matchups I've never even seen. Like I saw a Black dude with a Middle Eastern girl. I've never seen that before, right? So Black man, white girl, Hispanic girl, Asian girl, Middle Eastern girl. And in order for Black women to have enough men in general, they're going to have to, and they are starting to diversify their dating a little bit, because when you look at the rate in which it's happening in all ethnic groups, it's going to be the norm. It's going to have to be.
Anybody else care to chime in on the last question?
I think I don't think so. I think for for whatever reason, I think majority of human beings want to be with people that look like them, like they were saying earlier. So I don't see it just being this overwhelming, like, well, maybe just depends on. I really think it depends on, like in the West, yes. In the East and other cultures that are more established and very segregated in how they view themselves, no, it's not going anywhere. But in the West, for sure, I can see that happening. So, anywhere starting from Europe on this way to America, yes, I can see us being more melanated, right? Because American culture is no longer distinguished like this is what it is, and it's more like a melting pot. Like America actually is that. But let me go. Where was the guest? Where was she from? Let me try to go over there and get with one of their women. I don't think so. Trigger what? What trigger might? Trigger might. Now you know that's the nipple, man. I don't. You just. That's just
Well, I am particular to that part of the body, so it's nothing I haven't heard before.
Lord have mercy. The teat.
No, pink nipples are great, and they should always be around. It depends on how far the time.
Interesting.
Go, okay. At the end of the day, yes, we're all going to end up fucking each other. That's how it goes, kids.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
The more our societies become integrated, the more we're going to fuck each other. That's how it goes. And so, yes, of course, there's going to be more interracial relationships. Will this take thousands of generations? Yeah. But that's where it's going. The climb of humanity has pushed towards progression. Anytime bulwarks are put up in multiple societies, they're usually broken down. Even in some of the harshest ones, China, breaking down. The Western, breaking down. It will constantly be human beings like to fuck. And if we like the way you look, fairly soon we're going to fuck you. Okay, we fucked the Neanderthals out of existence. That's why we're all Homo sapiens. It's going to work that way. Will it happen in our lifetimes? Fuck no. In your grandchildren's lifetime? No. But eventually, yes.
You want to hear interesting fact to back up what you're saying, Raul Duke?
Please,
because like I said,
in your hand. What is that? Is that
this is a gun barrel. I'm sorry, a gun slide tube, like the packaging. Sorry. But
sexual, but go ahead.
I'm in I got guns everywhere, gun parts, all this. But I read a statistic. You remember I said like statistics can't capture everything. There are almost 1 million children that are marked black on their birth certificate where their fathers aren't black. So it's like it's already happening, right? So when you see a black woman and a child, even if the child looks racially ambiguous, sometimes just people just say, "Oh, the dad isn't in the picture and he's black." No, black women have been having like almost 1 million. That's actually a lot in proportion to the black population in America. So women if they're not dating out, they're definitely fucking out, like you said.
Oh man, that's something. That is something. Kelly, why do you think black women care so much that black men date out?
So I'll answer it. You're not gonna like my answer though.
She needs some water. She needs some water.
I don't know if you know what I would like.
That's not water, that's Tito's.
It's not Tito's.
It did. She did it small sip like
it's Chardonnay. I just don't have my wine glass with me. So I'll be honest. I don't really have a problem with black men dating outside of the race. I personally think people should fall in love with who they connect with and marry who they have chemistry with, no matter what their color. However, what I don't like, I'm going to be honest, is when black men date outside their race as if they want it, like with this air, like, oh, I have to go get something better. So I'm not going to date a black woman. I'm going to date a white woman or a Hispanic or a Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean? because I've elevated myself, a Black woman just won't do anymore. You know, that's what I don't like. It's that attitude that comes with dating outside of your race, as if your race wasn't good enough for you. So do I care if I walk down the street and see a Black man and a white woman holding hands? Absolutely not. But when there's this attitude with it, like, he's elevated, he wanted something better. That's what I don't like. You know, if you fall in love and that's who makes you happy, great. More power to you. But I just don't like that. I got to get something better. Let me passport, bro. My Black women aren't doing it for me. So
wait a minute. You ain't rocking with the passport bros?
You really don't want to know what I think about that.
I asked, so maybe I do. Say it.
I am just the moderator and the host.
Hot takes.
Oof.
You can't be JR. JR just hit buttons and be like, let's just have the conversation.
Come on now. Come on.
I felt that pop up.
JR just hit buttons and be like, let's just have the conversation. Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys.
We got to let her have some neutral views here.
I tend to learn from greatness. So
no, the
passport. You don't got a beard. You don't have a beard. You can't pull it off.
Movement. The passport bros is a necessary movement.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard me say it time and again. People don't change until they have no choice. This is how you give women no choice. You can't talk. You can't make them. You got to understand when you say, I think it's Plato, Socrates, somebody said, if you allow them to be your equals, they will want to be your superiors. We are now in the point where women think they are our superiors. So if the one thing, no woman, no matter what type of job she has, no matter what kind of education she has, she does not want to be undesired by her men. So once we make them undesirable and say, if you won't get with the program, we're going to go elsewhere, that will make them feel undesirable. And they will have to, by default, change and assimilate to our demands. So I'm 100% behind the passport bros. That will put the pressure on women needed to get things right in our communities.
I have a really hot take, but I think a show needs to be, I guess, dedicated to this. But, you know, and this is probably bad. No, I don't have any historical. I don't have any historical citations like ready to go or anything like that. But I blame at least the beginning of this state of things, and I think majority of this is just a cultural class issue. But I think men are the reason women got this way from the beginning. Because let's say they were in check. There had to have been some guys that were like, oh, yeah, you know, of course, like voting and stuff. Like, I think that's great. The first wave of feminism. But after that, I blame men for letting all these.
It is men's fault. You're right. You're right.
I get what you said.
You're right.
Funny.
All right.
I agree.
But okay, that's all I really like. I've just been thinking that for a long time. I'm like, I think this all had to have started because men let things get out of control.
Yeah, well, you got to understand the ultimate beneficiary of feminism is a man. Women don't. So all of this power that women have not created one self-sustaining power structure for themselves. All of those profits from feminism, all of the ideas, it's for a man or a corporation headed by a man to ultimately benefit from. So it's a few men and few families that created and power the feminist movement with money for personal gain and destroyed everybody's families in the process. So it is because of men.
So
right?
The fix to that, you would say, is the passport bro.
Absolutely. So
this.
Absolutely. So, well, it's not just like passport bros do their thing. You won't feel replaced until they bring these women back.
No,
so,
discipline. That's what's going to change it, in my opinion.
Oh no. So can I tell you about the de-discipline? My look on that. There's no such thing as de-discipline.
Well, I not exactly like how it is in this space. I'm saying stop having sex with the women who are all the things that you say you don't want. Like majority in that.
What I'm saying is that's never going to happen, Coach K.
I know it's nature, whatever.
I was going to say it's nature.
You have prefrontal cortex. Like you can be decisive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but you also got to understand that
Sorry,
there
I
is a
didn't look at that.
female
I didn't
component to
really.
this, right? The men, so look at the statistics, break it down all the way.
Oh,
The
man.
men who have upheld society and created every bit of progress we have, these men are still doing the exact same things their forefathers did. Okay, my great grandfather, blah blah blah, said everybody with my last name shall be married, yada yada, and I'm married. The men who are supposed to be doing what they're like, good upstanding men are still doing everything. We represent the other 50% of people that are married and don't get divorced. So we got to recognize that the core issue is that women started procreating with men whose bloodline was never supposed to be continued. These are the savages that will ruin discipline every time. Okay, the basis of our society used to be keep your legs closed until you secure a commitment from a man. You took that away in favor of sexual liberation. Therefore, the discipline cannot happen. We are animals. Open some legs and a man will hit. Legs are supposed to be closed. If every woman only gave ass to men who had a job, were upstanding men, and were trying to better themselves, guess what every man would want to be? An upstanding man. But coochie is free.
Or
I agree with
greatness.
that.
That's a whole other show, man. I gotta bow out. I'm just saying, Trigger, that's really fucking hard to implement, brother. What you just said is a profound statement that, oh my God, never really existed. And you could never enforce that shit because women are gonna do what the fuck they want to do.
Yep.
But I mean, it was never that way to begin with. But God bless you all. I have to go. Okay, it is now 12. I gave you all like 2 hours with my best. So have a good night.
Dang, I'm right behind you,
for
man.
joining.
It was good meeting all of you. I want to talk to you more, Mike, because you got some weird shit to say, and I think we have an interesting conversation.
I'll connect you guys.
Okay. Have a good night, guys.
All right, bro.
See you.
Bye. Does anybody have any closing comments?
No, this was fun.
It was fun. I appreciate everyone's take and for being honest. I know sometimes these are harder conversations to have, but I think they do need to be had. And they are rarely had, especially amongst,
I
cultures.
love this show that you have, Kelly, because I think it's really interesting. And there's just so much that can be learned and expressed. And also too, like when you have an understanding of something too, it kind of takes the hostility out of your heart. Really, I would encourage everyone to try to find understanding for all things. You always feel better, at least. But I mean, we're all human at the end of the day. So
I agree. And that's the reason why I wanted to create a show like this, because I do have a lot of friends with different ethnic backgrounds, and I've realized that most people don't step outside of their race or their culture or even their family to have these conversations. I find myself being the only Black friend most people have. So they'll ask me questions like, so do Black people really do this? I'm like, do you not have any other Black friends? And they're like, no. So I like to have these conversations. I'm open to it. So
yeah, I'm with it. Closing remark. If you can date out as a Black man, you're the best man around in the world.
What?
Because don't nobody want. Look, man, I'm starting to realize more and more. If you can date out as a Black man, that means all this negative stereotypes, all that good stuff, and the parents accept you, you're a hell of a guy. That's all I.
Oh yeah, you the golden goose for real.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're a Black man that can date out, like I'm talking about, coach besides white, other cultures, and they accept you. You are the best. You're the best man in the world, because it ain't easy. I know from experience. Outside of just white people,
it's not.
I would just say as a closing remark, like I said earlier, interracial dating and intercultural dating requires a great degree of patience, openness, and you got to be ready. Like because it's not just. People pretend it's just choosing a partner. Well, I love such and such, but they haven't really weighed all the factors. You are, in a sense, without a doubt, losing a part of your culture. And then you have serious things to debate within that. We also have to realize that interracial dating also comes with feminism. It's usually a part. There are other movements within that. Feminism, basically the entire freedom culture or inequality, right? So some women, may want, these women will argue with you about whose last name the children get. You got to be real. Like when you cross cultures like that, it's not all fun and games. You got to really understand, is this woman traditional at all, or what do they believe in their family? How will the children be raised? What religion will we practice? Will we practice religion? So just be mindful that you have a full adult experience to live out outside of how you feel inside it, or if you love that person.
I agree. I do have 2 more super chats. I'm going to read them because I don't want to ignore the super chats. Thank you for sending them. Maurice, $25. Oh, thank you. We gave y'all rights. Maybe we should have. Maybe it shouldn't have. Not sure.
Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to say.
And then
right. It was our fault.
Studios, $2. Blame divestors and fembots for passport bros. I don't know what a fembot is.
No, he's right. We shouldn't have never gave rights on unequal terms. That's the way I like to say it. Right? You guys vote and you don't have to sign up for selective service. That's BS.
Yeah, I can see him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do want to thank everyone for joining the panel tonight. Thank you for all who stayed from beginning to end, because I know it was longer than normal. Thank you for coming on, Coach K. I know you were busy, and I appreciate you still joining anyway. So
Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. And I hope you guys tune in next week for Bridging the Gap. We're going to have, I think we're going to talk about international travel. I think that's what we're going to talk about. But I haven't decided yet. I'll let you know. Stay tuned.
All right.
Well, were you talking about the effects and how men really feel about it? Women versus men, something like that. That might be a good one. Anyway, thank you for joining, and we will see you next week.
All right. See you.